All right, just sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device. The broadcast of the Mets game was only on YouTube today.
Okay.
Really?
Only on YouTube. Couldn't get it anywhere else. If you wanted to watch the Mets game, you had to watch YouTube.
Not on TikTok? They didn't break it down into 30-second videos on TikTok?
Every pitch.
Every pitch has its own TikTok.
Yeah.
So,
Don't the Yankees have games on Amazon Prime this year?
Yankees are on Snapchat. Later. All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, July the 21st, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you, and with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Howdy. That's pretty catchy song there in the bumper of the show that every week.
That is a really catchy song in the bumper of every week. Who was that? And the guy singing has a great voice, I got to tell you.
Well, fabulous. I mean, is that Foghat?
It's Foghat. It is.
It's Foghat.
It is Foghat. Yes, it is. I believe the band is Log.
I've heard of them.
Are you familiar with them?
Is there sometimes?
I've heard of them, yes.
What's the name of the lead singer?
I don't know. I thought it was Taylor Swift.
It was Taylor Swift. It used to be. Yeah. She left after a few years, and right. Now she's going solo.
Now Log just writes songs for her.
Exactly.
Right.
So how's Denver today?
Denver's okay. It's hot.
A little more quiet than last week?
Yeah. I'll tell you what. It was, considering there was an All-Star game in town, it wasn't all that bad. I feel like there's other things. Colorado, Denver in general, the Front Range becomes I feel like with these, at least temporary end of this pandemic, we're seeing a lot of people traveling here regardless of sporting events. So, right. People come just to go to Red Rocks or just to go to the 9 breweries that opened up in the last hour and the 7 that closed, and whatever else they do, jump off rocks, dive in a river, things of that nature. So there's lots of
apparently lots to do, so much to do that the internet freezes up on occasion for
is that my first?
You're back again, and now you're gone again. Look at that.
Whoop.
So what do you think he was going to say?
At least it froze when his eyes were closed.
This is
he's back. I'm here. I'm here.
He hasn't. He just stopped talking. That's all it was.
Yeah.
He just took like a little 14-second nap.
I don't get paid, and I don't want any more people.
Gotta love it.
I don't want any more people.
I don't want any more people knocking on my door for my celebrity. There you go. He's back here, and he stopped again. So this is going to be a fun show.
Yeah.
Folks, if you're listening to this on the audio podcast, I suggest going to Facebook and actually watching the beginning of this, because this is actually funny. So, and he's back again, and he's gone again.
And he's gone again.
Right.
And this show is going to take 4 hours. You had to jinx it, didn't you?
There you go.
I'd like to get out quickly. No.
Harry,
the internet god said no.
Harry, if you can hear us, you keep freezing. I would leave and come back. Oh, there you're back. And you're moving.
Good.
And you're good. But you're not talking.
I'm here.
All right. You keep freezing.
You froze up a couple of times.
At least 7 times you froze up. There you go. Anyway. That was good. I like that one. Anyway. Whatchamacallit. But I was just going to ask you, have concerts started up again at Red Rocks?
Yeah.
They did. Good. Have you gone yet to one, any?
I have not been to Red Rocks, no. There's really nothing on the docket that strikes my fancy as of right yet, but gotcha. I'm sure something will come around.
My nephew's been over there a couple times.
Yeah,
he's a big fan of like jam music.
Yes, that's
and so the kids call it the jam bands.
Oh, those jammers! Jammers. We've already had Widespread Panic Weekend, which is old cocaine riddled jammers. Then we had String Cheese Incident, which is more of a mix.
Which is more of a what? What do you think, Pete? Every time he does this, we got to figure out what he was going to say.
I don't think he would say
new age jazz.
New mix of the old
white people playing banjos.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Right, there you go.
Well, it's funny because his name is Patrick, and he posted a clip of one of his favorite jam band guys playing a mini moog or a moog.
Yeah, there you go.
And I was like, oh yeah, I know the guy that co-invented the thing.
There you go.
Bob
So Herb Deutsch, the other guy.
Herb Deutsch.
So and he was like, really? Yeah. I was like, yeah.
Harry, you can put the coffee down.
I'm going to log off and come back on.
Just log off and come back on there.
Yeah.
You can put the coffee down. You don't have to keep holding it and taking a sip of it,
I don't know. Are they sponsoring?
Maybe that's what it is.
Let me have a sip of this delicious
so I think
Jones Brothers coffee.
Of this. All right. There we go.
Since I don't have this, I'll be drinking this.
All right.
Poland Spring, that's like 10 for $1. I love when it goes on sale.
Yeah, 10. Yeah, they're
I'll literally buy 10.
Mm-hmm.
I do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And even though now, at this point in my life, although not for a long time, I do realize you don't have to buy the number that they say in order to get the deal.
No, you can get two for 20 cents or whatever.
You get right. Well, no, it's 10 for. Well, they're like $1, right?
Right. Yeah.
The Poland Spring, but I used to think it was like 10 for $10, and I'd be like, all right, cool, I'll get 10.
Right. But yeah, you get 5 for $5 or 3
right,
for $3.
It was literally maybe half a dozen years ago when I was told you don't have to buy 10, you idiot.
Really?
So
you look better. You look better. Do you feel better?
You look animated.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. It's those wonderful Google products. I love them so much. Just love them so much. I love having to use Chromecast or whatever this is.
Well, I got great news for everybody. The news that everybody's been waiting for.
Okay.
Yes.
Clerks 3 is going to be filmed. And in New Jersey.
Of course, it's going to be filmed in New Jersey. The Clerks 2 is such a blockbuster that...
of course, Kevin Smith isn't directing, and Jason Mewes won't be back. And
I believe it actually will be the entire cast. I believe Brian O'Halloran is in as Dante again. The whole
actually,
they're getting.
No, they're similar to Adam Sandler's co-stars. The only time they work is when Kevin Smith decides to do
makes a movie,
reboot of Clerks. Or
right. Well, let's be honest. If you had to replace somebody in that trio, let's say, Dante would be the guy, right?
Dante would be the guy.
Oh, yeah. Jay and Silent Bob have to be in it.
Yeah, of course. Last time I saw Dante, though, Brian O'Halloran, was actually at a beer fest in Atlantic City. So,
now, was that by chance, or he was like the...
Oh, no, it was just by chance. I was in line with him and had a beer with him at one point.
All right, cool.
So, anywho. But in any event, moving on to some sports. That's why we're here, right?
All right. We spent our requisite 7, 8, 9 minutes talking about something other than sports. So exactly. Yeah, we can move on now.
The Major League Baseball, apparently, there's a story out that they sent out an email. I don't know if it's true or not, and if it is true, who they sent it to and who they didn't. Well, I know who they didn't. They didn't send it to me or either of you two because you would have known about it. But apparently, it's hypothetical rule changes for next year. And I'll just read them really quick. Runner on second base in extra innings.
Every inning. Runner on second base.
Runner on second
times.
to begin extra innings. Every half inning after runners. They sent it out as a questionnaire. Do you either love it, like it, don't like it, hate it, or you're neutral? So runner on second to begin extra innings. Position players pitching. Universal DH in both leagues. Playoff format, 8 teams total from each league making the postseason. 8 teams total, including division winners, second place division teams, and 2 wild cards from each league. Yep.
So no, yes, no, fuck no.
Well, I didn't even read the 5th one yet. So and suspended.
Can you put that up? Because
yeah.
Do you still have the thing there?
Yeah, it's right here. Here it is, right there. And then. The 5th one is suspended games. When weather forces a game to be cut short before it is official, it will be continued at a later date rather than started from scratch. And not restarted, just continued at that point. In other words, like a month and a half later, pick it up in the 6th inning. Or
so that would be when those 2 teams are playing again, presumably.
Something like that.
Okay, so number 1, hate it. Number 2...
Runner on second, yes. Okay, hate that.
Don't agree. Pitching players should be allowed to pitch. I don't care about that.
I don't care about that.
Yeah, why? Why would that need to be a rule?
25 to nothing, why spend your bullpen?
I think
there are no restrictions. What are the restrictions now?
Yeah, there are no restrictions now.
Well, there aren't any, and neither the rule that the second runner on second is in there now too. This is for love it, like it, don't like it, hate it. In other words, people are bitching about the fact that
hate it, don't
hate it, don't care.
Yeah, and you fuck yes to the designated hitter in both leagues. I think the vast majority of people are for that.
Right.
No,
even people like me who are against the DH at this point are for it because it's never going back to no DH, so we might as well have consistency.
Right. Yeah, and
playoff format, just throw that away.
No, that's stupidity.
How about playoff format? We don't have any wild card teams, and the top four, the top, 3 division winners get in, and the next team with the best record plays.
Which is basically one wild card team. It's the best. Yeah. So and that's it. And it was like that.
Yeah.
And it was.
How many divisions are there now?
3 in each league.
So why don't we just have 4 in each league, and then we can have.
That's what I just said.
8 division winning teams.
Oh, you mean 4 divisions in each league?
Yeah.
Well, you can't do it because there's only
15.
There's only 15. There's only 5.
Oh yeah, there's not enough teams. Yeah, because there's not enough teams.
So you'd be down to you couldn't.
Wait, how many teams? There's 15, right?
Can we just? So
you have 4, 4, 4, and 3.
How about we go back to 2
3 teams?
How about we go back
Why
to
not?
two conferences in each division or in each league, 2 divisions in each league, and they play each other, and then the World Series happens after that.
That's it. Well, so it's just right to the league championship series, and then it's back to what it was basically.
Look, it's just whatever it is. I don't want a team that's won 100 games being left out of the playoffs because they lost 1 game against a 65-87 team,
right?
Who happened to get lucky on one day and beat them. No team should be eliminated from the playoffs for 1 game. I
agree. I do agree with that.
Oh, how about this? Oh, well, no, it wouldn't work. How about you have just have 8 divisions?
How about this though?
Well,
how
what
about
if 2 of them have 3 teams? Right? That's going to create parity, isn't it? You're going to have 3 teams. They're all going to have a shot.
Too much.
What?
Yeah. So the Yankees will be stuck with the Red Sox and the Rays. Okay, so everybody in the division.
Right.
Well, no, I don't think that one would be one of the 3. Or how about we do it like a Serie A, Serie B, where the lousiest teams go into the 3-team division and they don't have no chance of making the playoffs next year.
There you go.
They got to earn their way out.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter
what you
do. Where their location is. It could be a team in the Northeast, Southwest, and Central.
The top 3 teams get in automatically in the current setup, and the 3rd team who has to play the wild card team has a runner on second base every inning just during that game.
Why not? For every inning. How about this?
The regular season means absolutely nothing.
I got one for you. How about we just blow it all up? I'll say it really quick. I was talking about it the other day as a joke. You take every team, right, with the runners left on, okay, in every inning, okay. So when you start the next inning, whoever they had left on goes back on that base. So if they had a runner on first and second, and then they get the third out, when they come back up the next inning, they automatically get their runner on first and second back.
All right. It's getting really close.
But that's my point. It's stupid.
To me, not watching baseball anymore.
Right. It's just stupid.
You might get some young idiots who are going to watch it on their phone, but I'm just gonna. It's just fucking ridiculous.
I want to read 2 things really quick, or 1 thing really quick. Somebody I know actually commented on this on Facebook on this email that was sent out. What I just read. And he says how to make and keep Major League Baseball great. Number 1, fire Angel Hernandez. If fans know an ump's name, it means he's terrible. Number 2, have Angel Hernandez shipped to Tajikistan and kept on house arrest so he can never be near a ball field again. Number 3, for the love of everything good in this world, stop with the guy on second base in extra innings. Number 4, make sure Angel Hernandez is still in Tajikistan.
Number 5, he's just going to end up umpiring soccer.
Right. Number 5, stop organizing the World Baseball Classic until the world's greatest player is actually finally ready to represent his country. This is a Trout reference, obviously. And number 6, is Angel Hernandez still in Tajikistan?
Well, yeah, all right. I mean, obviously, I get the Angel Hernandez thing. The rest of it, I mean, this guy on second base, I think most people probably. I don't think anybody likes it. Have you ever talked to anybody who likes the guy on second base?
No, I have not met one person that likes that. No. Nothing. Nobody. I've met a couple of people. I've talked to a couple of people that actually don't mind the 7-inning doubleheaders.
No, get rid of that.
I don't want them either. But So I haven't met anyone, seen anyone, heard of anyone that likes the runner on second.
Look, the contradiction with Major League, like all I heard about for leading up to the All-Star game was Ohtani. So if you're gonna try to keep position players from pitching, then there you go. You're getting rid of the future Ohtanis of the world.
Right.
Both of them.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to screw. You don't need to screw with anything. And the original wild card format, I was okay with, but now it's too much, and a good team can get penalized way too easily by losing one game, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think baseball has had what they would consider some success with some of the stuff they've done in the past, and I think they have this feeling that we need to keep innovating, right? All these studies and all that, or we're going to lose this group and we're going to lose that group. You don't always have to keep changing everything, but I think they're kind of stuck in that mode now,
right? And I'm a big baseball fan, and if somebody asked me to explain the wild card seeding and how it worked last year, I couldn't.
No,
I had no fucking idea. I don't even think the managers who were in it had any idea what was going on.
I don't think half the players didn't either.
Yeah,
listen, we figured out hockey, right?
It took us a while, but we figured it out.
An entire division in another country,
right?
Yeah,
and we were able to figure out how that worked, and they were able to do it in a way that was discoverable, even for an idiot like me. So baseball needs to kind of maybe call up the guys who did that and say, "Hey, can you help us out here?"
Right. Or just leave it the way it was prior to last year and the year before when they added yet the other wild card team.
There's an old saying that says, "If it ain't broke, don't fix it."
Right.
It's and it's stupid.
Well, and it's so correct me if I'm wrong.
But why not?
This year there's going to be 2 wild card teams. Is that correct, or is there 3 wild card teams?
Right now, I think it's just the same as it was last year. So it would be 4 wild card teams.
4,
7, because I believe there was 7 teams from each division, from each league.
So there's the 3 division winners and 2 wild card teams from each.
Unless it was actually, because they played 2 teams got a bye.
If Jersey Johnny's bumbling and can't explain it, then nobody fucking knows what's going on.
I'm trying to remember what it was last year. I've read what they're talking about.
But it shouldn't be the same as last year.
I just forgot what it was last year.
Last year was an anomaly.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
So I think what they want is 8 teams. I think they want 8 teams. They want 8 wild card. They want 4 or 5 wild card teams, They want the 3 division winners in each league. The 3 division winners, the 3 second place teams, and then they want 1.
But that's not going to be this
2
year.
2 wild card teams.
My understanding. Look, what it should, if you want to expand it, here's what it should be.
All right, here's what they did. Here's what they did last year.
Okay.
They had 8 teams from each league.
There you go. Okay.
Wild card series, best of 3.
And the top 2 teams in each league did not
Number
play.
1 versus number 8, number 2 versus 7, number 3 versus 6,
okay.
Number 4 versus 5. All games at the higher seed's home ballpark. So if you were a lower seed in the wild card series,
you never got a home game.
And it all was a best of 3?
Yep. Those games were the best of 3.
Then the division series was best of 5 with the 2-2-1 home team, road team. And it was the 1 versus 8, 4 versus 5, 2 versus 7, et cetera, et cetera. Then the league championship series was the best of 7, 2-3-2. And then, of course, the World Series was 11 games with the last wild card team to lose playing
on second base.
The whole team on second base.
So
play around them.
So back in the day,
it was hockey like.
Back in the day, these wonderful teams that we all are hold in high regards had to win 3 games to win the pennant and 4 games to win the World Series. So they had to win 7 games for a championship. Now you have to win 5, 9, 10.
You got to win
13. You have to win 13 games. to win a World Series.
2 and 3 and 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
12 games. 2.
You got to win 2 of 3, 3 of 5. That's 5.
That's 5. 4.
And then 4 is 9.
And then 4 is
you're right. Yeah, because it's best of 7, best of 7. Yeah.
13 games.
Your math is better than mine.
13.
I do it all day long.
Yeah. So, yeah, which is just weird. I mean, it doesn't matter how many games it is, whether it's an odd number or whatever. It's just the fact that it's too many.
All right. So maybe I understand. So if you want to expand it, how about this? You have two. No. Hold on. You have 2 wild card teams. Sorry. You have 2 wild card teams from each league. They play each other in whatever, either a 1 game or a best of 3. Mm-hmm. Okay. That team then,
plays
if they win, goes and plays the number 1 seed.
Right.
In a best of 5.
Right.
Okay. And then from there, it just goes. That I'm okay with.
But let me tell you why.
You're not making the team that won 120 games win 2 games against a team that won 50.
Right. And you're absolutely right, and I agree 100% with that. That would be great, but it's never going to happen, and the reason for that is this. It's money. Yeah. And Major League Baseball wants more games on TV so they can get more money. That's what it boils down to, and that's the end of the day, and that's the end of the story, and it's not going to change from that. And whatever the Players Association wants, they're going to get so that Major League Baseball can keep that. And that's never going to change. We're going to have this many teams in the playoffs because they see what happens with football, and they see what the money draw is for the NFL for all of these games, and they're all nationally televised games, and they're getting money from all markets on national games for all of these, and it's not going to change.
It's partially the games, but it's partially the expansion of the playoff into other cities.
Yep.
Right? Like you could have your 3 division winners and 1 wild card team.
But you get that, Pete. You get that because
but I'm right.
You
can make this series longer to get more games out of each one, and then you wouldn't involve as many.
And I don't mind it being 1-1-1. So you get a game in Minnesota and you get a game in Kansas City, and you expand it and you put that on. But I'll be honest with you, last year when they were doing all this, the games were on at like 10 o'clock in the morning. Cleveland, there's like 85 games on. I turned the TV on, Cleveland's playing, and then all of a sudden Atlanta's on. I think it's the same game.
It was a baseball version of March Madness.
It basically was.
They ran it like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Nobody's home to watch it.
Yeah,
right. Last year they were maybe because of the pandemic. But I was working and had the TV on, and I'm like,
that's why they did it that way. They took advantage of that.
Manfred and who was in the playoffs.
Manfred and the league don't give a damn about that because it's not the people sitting at home watching the game that's giving them the money. It's the advertisers that are advertising on those channels.
They just charge more for advertising.
That's all. Yeah. Well, yeah. Exactly.
Well, yeah, because they didn't have anybody in the stands.
Right.
So that revenue by extra games was not generated.
So and the money that they generated from doing that, they tasted and they're like, ooh, I want more of this. We should do this every year. Boom, let's do this every year. And that's why they're going to say no, and that's why it's going to keep this way.
Here's something that I've thought of, and this is going in the same route as soccer or hockey. Okay, So fuck the guy on second base. Forget about that. If the game is still tied after 12 innings. Have a home run derby to decide who wins.
I love it.
Then you'll get fans there.
How is
that any different than penalty kicks?
I think they should do it like the Jets and the Sharks.
Right?
Yeah,
like the Jets and the Sharks, the best fighter from each team, and they square off.
They do square off.
But in
a sumo wrestling battle.
You'd have one guy on the roster who's just a goon that never plays.
It's like when we suggested hockey with the
steroid-laden, no neck.
Or maybe not even. You never know. Like, who would have thought that Odor would have had such a good right hook, against
this is true. True.
So you never really know.
Scrappy, Right.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be great. That's well, we're never going to figure it out. So we'll see what they do, and we'll bitch about whatever it is at some point in the future. But
I just watch it, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. Are the Yankees playing? Nope, not. Oh, they are. Okay. Why are they playing? Yeah. Right. Why are they playing the Kentucky Mudhounds in the Major League Baseball playoffs? I don't know. They have to beat this team to get in. Who knows? And this year, I might be wanting the expansion of the wild card team, because if there's 8 teams, then the Yankees maybe have a chance of making the playoff. So whatever.
It's the bottom line anyway, right? I mean, We're still going to watch. The overwhelming majority of us are still going to watch. Nobody's going to boycott baseball because
you shouldn't.
Teams in the
should
playoffs.
You should never. And I guess they did change this, so I was wrong. But they should never. It should never be a scenario where a team that really does well during the regular season is put in a situation where they're if they lose one or two games, they're out of the playoffs.
Elimination is terrible.
Yeah. Even a 3-game, even a 2-game, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Look, basketball has 16 teams in the playoffs every year. They did that sort of extra wild card 1 game to get in thing, and it sort of panned out where the team that was better won anyway.
Right.
So I think that was a failed experiment. But 8 plays 1, 7 plays 2, blah blah. The list goes on.
Sure.
And it usually pans out that the top seeds wind up. Usually.
Well, they had 20 teams actually. If you take all the wild cards and everything else, it was 20,
but when it all panned out, it was the series was
the series were 16 teams, right? Yeah, you got rid of 2 teams off the top.
They didn't need that stupid. LeBron was right. That play-in shit was stupid.
Of course it was.
And there were what? There were 4 single elimination.
Right.
Well, it wasn't elimination. Right. The team that lost just went.
Well, it depends.
Right, it depends.
It could be
9 played 10, 9 played 10, and 7 played 8. If whoever won the 7 playing 8 game, they were in, and whoever lost it played the winner of the 9 and 10.
Unless it was a Wednesday, and then you get to start all over again.
So my point is, you had 2 single game playoffs, but only one team was.
And you get a immediately. You get a 6th player who can sit under the rim when you're on defense.
Exactly. Sit on top of the backboard. Just when you throw the basketball up to me.
Only during overtime. During overtime, they take the mascot and they plant them on top of the backboard to swat the.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love it. So I went to my first. In-person game this year. On Saturday.
You did.
I did.
Where'd you go, the Mets?
Mets. I went
in Pittsburgh. Right?
In Pittsburgh, PNC Park, a beautiful park. Love PNC Park, and it was a great game up until the bottom of the 8th. But the 7-line Army.
Mets came back.
No, that was Sunday.
That was
the 7-line Army was.
Keep your poop emoji days straight, but
the 7-line Army was in the house. They pretty much had the whole bleachers. It was pretty cool. Saw them outside. I was hanging out with them for a bit, but it was real weird too because literally half the stadium was Mets fans and the other half obviously was Pirates fans. And the Pirates cheer is "Let's go Bucks," right? Because the Pirates, they don't say "Let's go"
because
Pirates.
They're rooting for Milwaukee.
They say "Let's go Bucks," right?
Because they hate Chris Paul too.
Right. So whenever the Mets were up at bat, it was the entire stadium was "Let's go Mets," and whenever the Pirates were up at bat, it was "Let's go Bucks." So it was, and they're pretty close, so it was really weird. It was kind of surreal, but in any event, 6-0. The Mets were winning 6-0 in the bottom of the 8th. So you bring in Lugo, right? Lugo's going to do good. Sure, yeah, he's going to do good. No, he gives up 5 runs, and he only gets 2 outs, giving up those 5 runs. Then they bring in Aaron Loop, and he gets the 3rd out. 1, 2, 3 in the first battery faces, and then they go to the bottom of the they go to the top of the 9th. Brendan Nimmo gets a solo home run, so they go up 7-5. Okay, you got a 2-run cushion. Bring in Diaz.
I was watching it.
Bring in Diaz. He'll close it down. He'll be good, right? No. Grand slam walk off to Wilmer Diffo.
Yeah, who was a hot batter killed him a couple nights ago.
Killed him a couple of nights ago.
Oh no. Well, he didn't hit the walk off.
Wilmer Diffo hit the walk off.
No, Diffo hit the. I thought he hit the go ahead.
The go ahead in the 9th. Yeah, it was the walk off. It was
not the grand slam. That was somebody different.
Was it?
Yeah, but he had also killed them like 2 nights earlier or something.
Right, and he's got a hot bat, and
right. Neither one of them should have been
right, and Diaz was missing everywhere. He couldn't hit the plate, and when he was getting the ball over the plate, they were killing it. So what do you do? Yeah, let's leave him in. Let's leave him in. Let's let him face it with the bases loaded and 1 out. Sure. Yeah.
But I mean, there's like what at that point with that sort of momentum swing, like who are you really going to put in there who's going to shut it down?
You're not. You know? You're not. They were the Pirates were in that game.
You're just hoping to get a ground ball. But then again, it was like an error fest that allowed a lot of those. Oh, that was Sunday. Okay.
That was Sunday. But
that's right. Because I turned it on Sunday and I went, "Whoa, what the hell is going on here?"
Oh, that was
because Pilar was whacking the ball, was playing handball and hitting it into the dugout.
That was Taijuan Walker. He came off the mound and went over to get it, and it was foul, and it just hit the chalk when he smacked it and went in the dugout. So it rolled fair.
No, this was the next day. There was
that was on a Sunday. That one. Yeah, you're right. That was Guillorme.
All right, Guillorme. Yeah, went to
that
play
was
the ball,
on, and then
got out of his glove, and then he whacked it to try and hit it over to third base.
And that was on Monday.
That was on Monday. Okay.
That was Monday with the Reds.
It's all so bad; it just blends together.
Yeah.
One miasma of ridiculousness.
Right. The only saving grace to Saturday night's game was the extra beer I got at the end of the game, and the great Primanti Brothers cheesesteak burger that I had, and then the fireworks display afterwards. So that was the only saving grace to that. But it was a good game until it wasn't. So, yeah. But I got to tell you, it was cool being back in the stadium again, especially that one. I really like PNC Park. It's a cool park to see a game in, right on the riverfront. It's cool. Anyway, but yeah, they.
Now was that? Did that used to be Three Rivers, or is Three Rivers gone?
Three Rivers is gone.
Three Rivers is gone. Okay, yeah.
It's PNC Park is its thing, and then Heinz Field is several blocks to the west for the Steelers. But in any event, yeah, it's a cool area there. A lot going on, and there's right over the bridge there, the Roberto Clemente Bridge, right next to the park there. There's the Allegheny Overlook, looking across, over on the river.
Sure.
Between it, and there's a bunch of pop-ups there, some food, and one of the better breweries in Pittsburgh actually has a pop-up tap truck. It's like an old ice cream truck that they have taps in. So
oh, nice.
That was kind of cool too. But in any event, yeah. So trip to Pittsburgh, a few days. That was fun. Even though they lost, it was a cool weekend. But some other news, Lindor's. What do you think? How long do you think he'll be out? I mean, it's got to be an oblique, right? He's on a 10-day DL, but
it'll be longer than that.
It's got to be. Oblique is like 6 to 8 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna be sucked. And DeGrom is got forearm tightness again. So
yeah.
Anyway, how about the Yankees?
Looking good.
Yeah, we got a 32-year-old guy from Wilkes-Barre pitching tonight. I think his name is Woj Howitz. It's his son of Sergeant Woj Howitz.
Wojo's son is pitching? That's awesome.
The Yankees are so good that they brought up a guy who in the minors has a 1-3 record and a 6.81 ERA. And his name is Asher. So that's the Yankees. We don't need to go into anything more than that. However, the difference in perspective of being a Yankee fan or a Mets fan is there's one game separating both teams. Yeah. And the world is ending for one, and the future's so bright I got to wear shades for the other. So it's
crazy, isn't it?
It's actually kind of interesting to see some of these young guys on the Yankees who can actually run and catch a fly ball. There's that part of the outfield that I'm thinking is okay.
Right.
And look, if Brian Cashman doesn't go out and get one of the top 3 outfielder prospects and a pitcher, and let me give you a little hint: go look in Texas or Chicago. But those are the places.
Chicago is selling everybody, so everybody should fleece. Everybody should be fleecing.
And
Chicago,
you can get a start because we're not going to win anything with Asher Wojciechowski in the starting lineup. I'm nothing against Asher, but if you're 32 years old and you're 1-3 with a 7 earned run average in Wilkes-Barre, then that's how bad the Yankees are right now.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, the trade deadline's going to be here before you know it. What is it? Is it next week, right? Next Friday? Or is it the week after? I forget. It's either next Friday or the Friday after. I know we have one more show before it, at least, if not 2.
Oh, yeah. We'll have our big
trade deadline show, yeah. Mets already made a move. Mets sent Billy McKinney packing to L.A.
Yeah. Good riddance.
Billy McKinney went to the Dodgers, so he'll probably win a World Series.
Yeah.
But for Carlos Rincon, they got back for him. So, and
that is your exciting Mets roundup.
Trade news for today. Yeah. So it is crazy though when you look at the standings. Though the Mets are the Mets are in front of the Phillies by 3 games, 50 and 43. They would be in the AL East. They would be in 3rd place. In the AL Central, they would be in 2nd place. In the AL West, they would be in 4th place. In the NL West, they would be in 4th place and 2nd place in the NL Central. But they're they're in the East, so they're in 1st place. So there you go. They get the run differential up to 15, though. So there you go. That's fun.
Well,
Silence on the other end.
No, 15's a big number.
15's a big number, and the Yankees are +9 too. So there you go.
Well, the Yankees can help you if they can squeak out another win against the Phillies tonight. So.
Dodgers are 151 plus 151 run differential.
Remember at the beginning of the year how people thought the Dodgers are just they're blowing it. I'm like, well, I think they're okay.
I got one Dodgers question for you. Does Trevor Bauer pitch another ball at all ever for the Dodgers?
Does he pitch a ball ever?
Does he?
For anybody?
I'd say ever again. Does he throw one more pitch for the Dodgers ever again?
Are they?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think if he gets cleared, then yeah. It seems like this is kind of a long. It seems like they're very proactive in making sure that he was nowhere to be found on their team.
Yep.
So I don't know.
They're downplaying everything. They pulled all of his merchandise off. They took the bobblehead night away. Obviously, just cut ties almost, it looks like. But
yeah, I assume it would come down to how much they have to pay him.
Pay him off, yeah, to get out.
What exactly the contract says about having consensual sex with.
Well, if he's cleared, then come to the Yankees, and we'll give you Gary Sanchez and Gleyber Torres.
Sure. You know? Speaking of pitchers to the Yankees, I wanted to ask you, Harry, interest in Max Scherzer?
Yeah, I mean,
is he for sale?
That's probably. I don't know what his contract is, and I think it's just they're going to want too much for him because he's kind of having a decent year.
Yeah.
But
this would be the year to trade him if they were going to look at getting rid of him. This would be the time to do it. So, but yeah,
I don't know. I would love to see the Yankees get somebody a little younger than Scherzer. But yeah, I think. If the Yankees were up by 5 games in their division and we knew that then yeah, I would say yes.
I don't know if he's enough. If he's the guy who's going to put you over the top, but he can probably get you a lot closer.
If they can get him without having to give up too much, he's going to be better than Asher Wojciechowski. So, yeah. Look, Talon looks pretty good, but we don't know if Kluber's going to come back. Severino's had a setback.
Kluber, I think I read, played catch today or yesterday. So
Domingo Germán seems to only be able to pitch 4 innings, so he's I mean, everyone's welcome.
There you go.
All right, so true story, right? Going to be a Trevor story, not true story, right? I got his name right.
True story.
On the second.
That'd be cool if his name was true.
That would be
true story.
So, if he comes to the Yankees, then that forces Torres over to second, unless he's part of that trade, and then LeMahieu to first, assumedly permanently. So, do you try and get rid of Torres so you can keep LeMahieu at second and get that kind of a second baseman that you're paying that money for?
Well, Voigt's playing, right? Voigt's in the lineup, right?
He might be part of that. He might be part of that trade too.
Is he hurt again?
Yeah, he's out. Yeah, he hasn't played since I think July 11th. Yeah, he's been out.
Then that's the third time he's been out.
Yeah, this is his third injury, and that's the big thing with Voigt is that I think this is the question with a lot of these Yankees. It's quite honestly, it's the question with Stanton. It's a question with Hicks. It's a question with a lot of these guys is how long do you hold on to their potential, especially the guys who are constantly hurt. Right. Now, Voigt is a guy that out of all of them, I think they keep. For this year, though, if it's looking like Voigt's not going to play, then okay. I don't think the Yankees need Trevor Story. To be honest, I like Trevor Story. I think he's a good player. I think he's going to. I think they need outfielders and pitching. Mm-hmm. I think their infield is okay.
Well, I don't think he can move
even with Torres at short
this year as a guy you're going to lock in for the next decade.
Right. I mean, Torres is starting to hit again. I think you take Torres. Yeah, and I'm not sure Torres can play second. Now, if it means that Torres is at second, LeMahieu is at first and or third, depending on whether or not Gio Urshela or Andujar are healthy, because Urshela is also out. So LeMahieu is pretty versatile, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, if you can get Trevor Story, but would I rather see them get Joey Gallo and what's his name from the Rangers, who's leading the league or second in the league in ERA? Yeah, I would rather see that, because Story's having a down year as well. He's a good defensive player. He's a clutch player. Honestly, for right now, to win it now, which I think is where the Yankees are at. Yeah, I would feel much better about a Trevor Story trade if Charlie Blackmon came with them. These are the kind. Sterling Marte is another guy. Is he, lighting it up? No, he's at the end of his career, towards the end of his career. But these are guys that can catch the ball in the outfield and get you big hits and run the bases. Gallo's great. Gallo's a 220 hitter, but his slugging and his home run potential is off the chain. So that's where we're at.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know what. I mean, Gallo's been around for a while now, right? So he's not. Yeah. He's no spring chicken. He probably doesn't have much of a long-term contract. I have no idea, but I guess I shouldn't say that. But wouldn't think that he would have more than a couple of years left on whatever deal he has.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm drawing a blank on the pitcher from the Texas who's been. There's been some rumblings about potentially a trade with the Yankees, but they need pitching. They need pitching in an outfield. So getting another infielder doesn't necessarily help, because the guys they have healthy. Look, Hicks is out for the year. Who knows what's up with Voit? Clint Frazier's a bust. You had Brett Gardner, who produced last night, but I think he's hitting 183. They're thin.
Isn't it supposed to be easier to get decent outfielders though than good infielders?
I think there's a lot available. I just think Cashman has to decide whether or not he's going to go out and get. And back in the day, the Yankees used to do this. They used to go get David Justice for 2 years. They used to go get fill in the blank for
sure.
That's how they kept their championship team going. They had the core. And then they filled in around them based on needs and injuries and et cetera. But the Yankees have never had more question marks in their starting rotation than right now. And look, Garrett Cole looks like he's back in top form. He's had 2 great starts. He's beaten 2 really good teams and dominated them. They need a second and third starter if they're going to have any chance of winning, and they need it now. Because they're playing the Red Sox and the Rays, and they need to make a dent now. They can't wait. They need to have these guys in the lineup. And I'd rather see guys who are playing well this year and not necessarily taking a chance on somebody who's, coming back off a rotator cuff. They need arms that are healthy.
Well, what about you talk about the infield though? What about if you're not going to get Luke Voit back? What about?
Well, he's supposed to be back
this year. He's not.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I was going to say, what about moving LeMahieu over to first and
well, LeMahieu's been at first. He's been there.
No, I mean just like permanently this year anyway, and go get Adam Frazier from the Pirates.
Well, yeah. I don't think
I watched him hit a lot of balls on Saturday night.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that would be great. I can deal with the Yankees infield, even if it, they need outfielders. They need outfielders and they need pitchers. So, yeah.
Well, we will see how everything goes down, because next Friday is the trade deadline, 4 p.m. next Friday, July 30th. So we'll have one more show before the trade deadline. So we'll see how everything goes down. If there are any moves prior to next Friday, because there usually are. There have been a few already, but and see what the Mets do as well. What the Mets may need, I don't know at this point. Arms, for the bullpen, another starter. Carrasco, it looks like he's on his way back, but he gave up 3 home runs in a AAA game, rehab game the other day. So, is he ready to come back yet? And who knows if Syndergaard's even going to come back in September. So we'll see what they do. We'll see what the Yankees do, and we'll play it by ear. We'll go from there.
Yeah. Supposedly both Voit, Urshela, and Andujar are supposed to all be back in July. So next week.
So next week. All right,
within the next 10 days.
If they come back and they're healthy and they're playing better and they're playing fine and they don't get injured again, then you're right. You need outfield. You need somebody. You need an arm in the outfield. You need a bat and maybe a pitcher, or 3.
or 3.
Just a couple things.
Just a couple things. There you go. So should we do our? Let's do our quiz. Let's do our quiz before we do our top 10. We got a quiz. Next week we're going to move to we're going to do alternate. We're going to do a football quiz next week. We'll go back and forth until football season starts. But this week another baseball quiz. Here we go. All right, separate one for each of you. Who wants to go first? Harry, as usual, or sorry, Pete, as usual.
Sure, why not?
All right, here we go. Pete, you're the manager. They're in their prime. Third baseman, keep 2, drop 3. Right?
Jesus.
Keep 2, drop 3. Ready? David Wright. Wayne Garrett, Hojo, that's Howard Johnson for those of you who aren't sure, Ray Knight, and Robin Ventura, because I know you love him so much. Once again, David Wright, Wayne Garrett.
In their prime, not necessarily, because not all these were in their prime.
Ray Knight their prime could have been. Ray Knight's prime was with the Reds, before.
Robin Ventura wasn't necessarily in his prime with the Mets either.
He played pretty damn good for 3 years with the Mets too. He's part of that best infield in baseball ever too. So, But David Wright, Wayne Garrett, Hojo, Ray Knight, Robin Ventura. Which 2 are you keeping?
Well, I know my answer.
Ray Knight's a Cabbage Patch Kid.
Okay.
Hojo's got the ice cream franchise, although they're faltering lately, but I would say Ventura, and you got to go with the captain.
Ventura and Wright.
Yeah,
that's the right answer.
There you go.
Yes, validation.
There you go, validation. There you go. David Wright and Robin Ventura.
Now I get to decide if Harry's answer is right.
There you go.
Sure.
All right, Harry. Here you go. Same thing.
And then he gets to decide if my assessment of his answer is right.
Is
the wrong answer, and that's the wrong assessment.
There you go. All right. Harry, here we go. You're the manager in their prime, third baseman, keep 2, drop 3. Who are you keeping? Here we go. Ready? Greg Nettles, Wade Boggs, Alex Rodriguez, Clete Boyer, and Scotty Brocious.
So we're talking in their prime.
In their prime.
And it's not necessarily their time with the Yankees, but in their prime.
Right.
Can you read that again?
I hate to take out Nettles, but it's Boggs and A-Rod. I mean, it's no brainer.
I'll read them again. Greg Nettles, Wade Boggs, Alex Rodriguez, Clete Boyer, and Scotty Brocious.
Yeah, I can't disagree because I don't know what half of those guys were like in their prime, but
they were all great.
I do know what the two guys that you mentioned were like in their prime, and I think their prime is far and away better than the other guys' prime.
Right. So
that is the correct answer, sir.
There you go. Boggs and A-Rod. There you go. All right. Well, there you have it. There's tonight's quiz.
Oh, and both lefty-righty combos.
Plus, I could start A-Rod at shortstop if I need to.
And then you could throw A-Rod over at shortstop. If
Boggs can play first base when his knees give out.
There you go. And ride a horse around when he needs to.
That's right. Ride a horse, please horse.
By the way, the guy who hit the grand slam was Stallings.
Was it Stallings?
Yeah.
On Saturday night?
Yeah.
All right. So then Defoe hit the 3-run home run in the 8th.
William Defoe.
Yeah,
I didn't know he was playing for the Pirates.
As a pinch hitter.
Yeah. And I knew he hit a home run on Saturday night.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
But anyway. All right.
Yeah. Gave up 9 runs in the last 2 innings.
9 runs. By the 2 best bullpen arms on the team, gave up 9 runs in 2 innings.
It was ugly. It was ugly.
It's ridiculous. All right.
All right. Top 10?
Top 10 time. Tonight, our top 10 is another 2 weeks in a row here.
Yeah,
we only have 10 in our top 10.
Only 10 in the top 10.
Only 10 in the top 10. 2 weeks in a row. We're cooking with gravy now. Here we go.
That seems wrong.
It just seems wrong. It's not a Get On With It podcast, sports podcast top 10 list if there's not 12 or 15. But
not on this show.
Exactly. So we're going to do the 10. Here we go. So tonight's lazy. Tonight's top 10 is top 10 Major League Baseball teams since the year 2000. Top 10 Major League Baseball teams since 2000. All right, we're going to kick it off with number 10. Number 10 is going to be the 2012 San Francisco Giants. 2012 San Francisco Giants went 94-68 in the regular season. They they won first place, obviously, the division, the NL West. They won the National League divisional round, obviously, and the league championship series, and they beat the Detroit Tigers in the World Series.
Swept them, didn't they?
Swept them. The Tigers in 4 games to win, and that was their second World Series in 3 years. And then they would go on to win another one 2 years later, too. So 3 and 5.
Now, which one was Bumgartner's series?
That was later.
That was 2014.
This was Lincecum's series.
This was Lincecum's.
Okay, this was
Team Lincecum. Mm-hmm. And Brian Wilson.
Yep. Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So there you go. Number 10, the 2012 San Francisco Giants. Moving on to number 9. Number 9 is Harry's favorite, the 2001 Arizona Diamondbacks.
Man, this shouldn't even be on this
list. You had them on your list, too.
I know.
Schilling and Johnson.
Only because they beat one of the best teams of all time.
That's
luckily,
true.
By a cheap freaking
Mo. Unbelievable. But 92-70 regular season record. They were first in their division. They won the NLDS versus San Francisco, and they beat the Braves in the NLCS, and then they beat, of course, the Yankees dramatically in the 7th game of the World Series.
They were
a walk-off hit.
They were one of my favorite teams that year. They beat the Braves and the Yankees.
Well, it's all because of the mullet. The mullet just dominated.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, walk-off hit by Mr. Luis Gonzalez.
Gonzalez,
there you go. All right. Number 9 was the 2001 Arizona Diamondbacks.
Was that Gonzalez's steroid home run year?
Yes.
Right? Or was that earlier?
Well, he had what was it?
He's
57 home runs. He had 57
he's the
home
Scott
runs.
Brocious of Arizona.
Okay. Yeah. Right, so it was that year.
57 home runs that year he had. Yeah.
Whatever.
So there you go.
Well, just because he averaged like 28 or something.
Yeah. Just
and then all of a sudden busted out for
doubled his production in one season.
Well, that's because that ball didn't even hit the bat; it hit his hand. But he was so juiced up, it just dribbled over to the center field.
Well, he got so scared of the hand coming at it, it just turned around and went the other way really far.
It would have been so wonderful. Such a lost opportunity.
Oh my gosh!
That one hurts. That one hurts the most.
Yeah.
The one that you lost in
the one
it hurts the most
of the 6 that you went to in that time period.
It just hurts the most. It hurts the most.
If it had been anyone but Mo.
Actually, they lost 2 years later too, but we won't talk
about
I
know, but I just didn't want to.
But they you know what? They came up against the Marlins team 2 years later. That was, bested them.
They lose to all these damn expansion teams.
Wild card too. Was that the first wild card team to win?
Probably.
Yeah, I believe
it was the Marlins, right?
Yep. Yeah, it was. So, all right. The number 9, 2001 Arizona Diamondbacks. Moving on to number 8. Number 8 is the 2002 Anaheim Angels.
Who the hell was on this team?
The 2002 Anaheim Angels were
Mike Scioscia.
Yeah, right.
They weren't as good as the 86 Angels.
They went 99-63 in the regular season.
Look at that.
And they were only second place, winning 99 games.
Yep.
That year, they beat the New York Yankees in the divisional series, and they beat the Twins beat the Yankees 3-1. They beat the Twins 4-1 in the ALCS, and then they won the World Series against the Giants 3-2. 3-2, series defeat to the.
How was it 3-2?
I'm trying to figure that out. With a 3-2 series deficit. I'm sorry, they had a 3-2 series deficit and then came back and won 4-3 in games 6 and 7. That's what it was.
I forget the Angels actually won a World Series.
So
For whatever reason, I don't remember this World Series. I don't remember this postseason.
I remember it.
I was still in shock from 2001, I guess.
You were. Yeah, you had a hangover from the year before.
I couldn't watch anymore.
So.
Yeah, I can't think of like a particular moment from this series or something that happened that stood out.
Yeah, well, everybody I think thought the Giants would win again.
Let's see who the pitchers were on the 2002 Anaheim Angels.
Kevin
Apier.
Wasn't Jim Abbott?
No, Kevin Apier. Mickey Callaway was on that staff.
There we go.
John Lackey.
Okay.
K-Rod was on this team.
Of course, he was on the Angels for like 75 years.
Catchers, you had.
Didn't K-Rod win the World Series MVP?
Who were the catchers? I think I had one of them on my fantasy team, and I won the.
Catchers were Jorge Fabregas, Sal Fasano, Benji Molina, and Jose Molina.
Nope, wasn't them.
Outfielders Alex Ochoa, Orlando Palmeiro, Jeff Devanin.
Yeah.
Gary Anderson and Darren Erstead.
Maybe the least stars packed team to ever win a World Series.
Not a lot of big names on this team.
No.
And a lot of big names at all on this team.
And that's what makes them great.
That's right, like the Kansas City Royals and the Washington Nationals.
The Royals,
the Royals had some names on the team, though.
Royals had a couple names. They were pretty underrated.
Who?
The Royals?
Yeah, who was on that? Anyway, doesn't matter.
I don't know. I just know nobody could get a hit off their bullpen.
They had 27 relievers on that team.
Yeah.
They were good. But I think K-Rod was on that team.
Yeah, I believe he was. The Mike Scioscia was the manager of that team, by the way.
Fantastic.
And trying to find who did win the MVP. Was it?
It doesn't matter.
Was it K-Rod? It's not written here, so I can't see it. So I apologize.
Was memorable.
Right. It was, so memorable. There you go. All right. Number 8, the 2002 Anaheim Angels. All right.
Memorable as a Cliff Stallings grand slam.
We move on to the Mr. 7 of the night.
Mr. 7.
Mr. 7. It's a team.
Mr. 7.
Mr. 7 is the 2007 Bo Sox, the Boston Red Sox. This was their second of the 4 that they won in this century. World Series wins.
This was the year they blew past the Rockies in the World Series, or is that later?
This is the Rockies, yes.
Yeah.
It's like the knuckleheads.
They didn't lose a game, or did they only lose one game in the postseason?
They won. They went 96 and 66 in the regular season. They were first in the division. They beat. Who did they beat? They beat. They beat the Angels in the American League Divisional Series, and then they beat the Indians in 7 games. So and they fell behind 3 games to 1 in the divisional series, in the championship series. And then, unlike they did 3 years earlier when they fell behind 3 games to none.
About that.
But they came back and won it. Won game 5, 6, and 7. Then went to the World Series, and they swept the Rockies. And,
wait, did you say they were down 3 games to none?
3 games to 1 in this year in 2007 ALCS, as opposed to the 3 games to none they were down 3 years earlier in the ALCS.
Oh wow!
Let's go Sox. Wister's proud of you.
So anyway. Terry Francona, manager.
Good manager.
There you go. Yes, absolutely. The Mr. 7 tonight, the 2007 Boston Red Sox. All right. That brings us to the number 6. The number 6. Is that like the Ohio State? Number 6 tonight is the 2005 Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, the Sox. Big win.
There you go. The
win.
White Sox that year, 05 White Sox that year, 99 and 63. First place in the AL Central. They won the divisional series 3 games to nothing over the Red Sox. They won the league championship series 4 games to 1 over the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and they won the World Series. Swept the World Series. Swept the Astros in the World Series. There you go. Ending an 88-year championship drought at that point for the White Sox. There you go.
And they're well on their way to running another one.
And the Astros were in the National League.
It's when the Astros were still in the National League. This was before they switched over. Exactly. Notable pitchers, again, Mark Burley, Jose Contreras. Who else? Orlando Hernandez was on this team.
Yeah, El Duque.
Little El Duque action there for you towards the twilight of his career.
In his 67 season.
Wasn't his entire career towards the twilight of his career?
Yeah.
He came in the league and
he was 45 when he came up. So.
He was actually only 21, but he just looked really old.
But catchers AJ
Greg
Brzezinski.
Oden of Major League pitchers.
Yeah, really. AJ Brzezinski, catcher. Raul Casanova. Yeah, not a lot of names on this team either.
Yeah, the Sox.
Jermaine Dye was on this team. Carl Everett.
Yeah, there you go. Jermaine Dye.
There you go. Yeah. I had him on some of my video teams.
Ozzie Guillen was the manager of this team as well. There you go. Number 6, the 2005 Chicago White Sox. The Chi Sox, as they call it.
Sox.
Moving on to number 5. Number 5 is going to be the 2017 Houston Astros. 2017 Houston Astros had a record of 101-61 in a garbage can. They were the first place in the division in the AL West. They beat the who did they beat in the divisional series? Let's see. They
beat the garbage can.
They beat the garbage can in the divisional series. No, they beat the Red Sox in the ALDS. Defeated them in 4 games, so they won 3-1. And who did they defeat in the championship series? Harry?
I don't know.
Who was that?
Toronto? Was it Toronto?
The
I
Anaheim,
feel like it was an AL East.
The Anaheim Angels of Pasadena.
Pasadena. Those are the Chi Sox. No, it was indeed the New York Yankees. Yes, it was.
Yeah, I remember a gentleman by anyway.
Yeah,
Look, the Astros, from 16, 17 on, the Astros have been the best, most consistent team in baseball. They might be the best team again this year.
Like, regardless of all of the crap that went on, they're still a very good team. Very well disciplined, very well.
I'll take anybody in
coached.
The starting lineup on the Yankees right now and be very happy. As much as I hate Altuve, if he wants to come play for the Yankees, you're more than welcome.
Exactly. He can
I'll put a clicker and a garbage can and whatever the hell else you need. I don't care. I could give Gary Sanchez a clicker, a garbage can, and 3 underhand pitches, and he wouldn't be able to hit the fucking ball.
Just throw 3 slow pitch softballs into him. He's still going to miss him. So there you go. All right, and they of course beat the Dodgers in 7 games in the 2017 World Series to win the World Series that year. There you go. Yeah.
Another Dodgers meltdown.
There you go. Number 5, the 2017 Houston Astros. Moving on to number 4. The number 4 tonight is none other than the 2009 New York Yankees.
There you go. A-Rod did it.
Yankees. 103-59 that year. First place, obviously, in the AL East. Good year. They beat the Twins in the American League Divisional Series. They swept the Twins in 3 games.
Always beat the Twins.
Yeah, that's.
There you go.
Just throw a dart at the history page, and
since 1995, the Yankees has always
be lopsided.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Then they beat the Anaheim Angels. I'm sorry, the Los Angeles Angels.
Los Anaheim.
San Diego.
The Los Anaheim Chili's of San Diego.
The LosAnaheim Angels of Angeles.
Of Disney World.
That's it. Right. Glendale.
Exactly.
I mean
Glendale, Disneyland, right? 4-2 in the LCS. Then they beat the Phillies in 6 games. 6 games and 4-2 to win their 27th World Series title.
I think I almost rooted for them just because it was against the Phillies.
Yeah, you know what?
That was probably
I rooted for him. I rooted for him.
It's been a while. It's been a while since the Yankees.
Yeah, that's true. Probably,
and I'm not
probably
for the Phillies as a Mets fan, right? I'm not rooting.
A World Series involving the Yankees that I was one of the ones where I was the most ambiguous.
Right.
It's been a long time. 2009 is a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was 12 years ago, I think, on the calendar. Mm-hmm. I think somewhere in there. But in any event,
they had a little bit of for the Yankees, a drought in between.
A little bit. Some of the notable pitchers on that team. Let's see. We got A.J. Burnett, Jubba Chamberlain. Who else? Phil Hughes, Mark Melancon, Andy Pettit, of course, Mo Rivera, CC Sabathia.
All at the end of their Sabathia, not so much. But
Sabathia,
the rest of them. CC was the ace.
There you go.
Pettit came up clutch as he usually does in the postseason.
There you go.
And Mo made up for 01.
Yes, sir. And what was their starting infield? Let me see. That would be Mark Teixeira, Robinson Cano, Derek Jeter, and Alex Rodriguez. That's
a pretty good infield.
That's goddamn great infield.
People forget about this team, but that might be the best Yankees infield of all time.
Unbelievable. Right there.
And Teixeira never really had the season with the Yankees that you thought he would, but still, I mean, you're talking probably 4 Hall of Famers. I mean, I think Teixeira will eventually get in.
He was solid. He always got off to a slow start, but his numbers were always right there at the end.
And Robbie Cano was on a tear that year. I mean, he was probably the best player on the Yankees that year. So, and I think A-Rod was finally dating the right girl. I think it was Goldie Hawn's daughter. Everything aligned, and they the curse of A-Rod was lifted.
Of course, Jeter was also dating A-Rod's girlfriend, but
that's right, his other girlfriend.
But they kept it out of the papers. So.
They did.
It was that thing. So there you go. All right, number 4, the 2009 New York Yankees. All right, moving on to number 3. Number 3 is going to be those 2004 Boston Red Sox that we spoke of earlier. They went 98-64 in the regular season, but they were only second in the division, 3 games behind the division-winning Yankees, of course. Who did they play in the American League Divisional Series? They played
Don Zimmer.
They played Don Zimmer, just Don Zimmer. Yeah. No, they swept the Anaheim Angels, not the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
At that point, they were
just the Anaheim Angels then. And then they faced the Yankees in the ALCS for the second straight year. And they lost 3 games, the first 3 games to the Yankees. And then, of course...
this is just a storybook. For that, I mean, the way in which they won their first World Series since, who knows, what was it, 5th? What was the last time that Boston won before this?
1918 was
1918, yeah.
So it was 80.
And then
86 years.
And the GOAT and all.
I mean, a great story. I mean, look, after they beat the Yankees, I wound up rooting for them. It was a mistake because they turned out to be the biggest assholes in baseball for the next 10 years. But I was rooting for them. I mean, how could you not?
Right.
It's
the thing about this is when I remember,
I love Big Papi. He was clutch. I mean, he was huge.
He hit almost. I think was that the year he hit it like almost 700 in the series. Yeah, I remember. I think I was working up in Westchester, and as the Red Sox were coming back, and they were down 0-3, and then they won another game, and then another game, and everybody kept saying, "Oh, well, of course they're going to lose eventually, and it's going to be even a worse heartbreak because they got a little bit closer."
Right.
And whether I liked either of those teams or hated either of those teams, I like to see history happen.
Right.
And this was, cool because nobody had ever done, nobody had ever come back from down 0-3 in the championship series before. So
I think this is the year that I think Big Papi established himself in my book as the best postseason hitter in modern day baseball, since the 70s.
Right.
I mean, just unbelievable. The only thing I would have liked is it would have been nice if Nomar was still on the team. That would have been nice.
Yeah, Nomar gets the World.
I mean, Nomar. How many times did Nomar just come up short? But I mean, this is a great team. It could have easily been number 1 on this list.
Yeah.
Only that they got better and more dominant.
they got better. That's why they're not, yeah.
And the Yankees were, got a little weaker. So they I mean, look, the Red Sox, Astros, 2 best teams, I think, over this century since 2000 in the American League. I would say that's probably pretty fair, and probably the Dodgers and the Giants in the National League.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. That sounds about right. But there you go. Yeah. So two things were broken there. And nobody ever came back from 3-0 deficit down in the American League Championship Series or anything at that point. And of course their 86-year Curse of the Bambino drought.
That's right.
So and then went on, and then at this point they are still the winningest baseball franchise, World Series winningest baseball franchise in this century. It's weird to say if you said that to any Red Sox fans back in 20 years ago, they'd be like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Yeah. And it was like you used the word storybook before. Like that was the other aspect about this. Like, if anyone was going to come back, right? If Boston was going to come back, it would have to, like, what other team could it be against except the Yankees, right? What would be the
right? And they got
what would be the biggest story? What would be
A-Rod and
their arch nemesis, the redheaded stepchildren,
Don Zimmer,
the rivalry that never really was a rivalry. Like if the baseball gods were smiling down, this was the perfect situation,
right?
And like I said,
let's not get too excited about it, Peter.
Well, no, I'm just saying it's as far as a story, it was the two right teams, and like I said, it's cool to see history. It's
a great season.
It was
a good season for baseball, and that postseason was pretty epic.
It certainly was. All right, there you go. Number 3, the 2004 Boston Red Sox. All right, that brings us to another piece of history. Number 2 is the 2016 Chicago Cubs.
Despite Aroldis Chapman's best efforts.
Despite LeBron James. Yeah. He tried, and Aroldis Chapman tried as hard as he could, but they still won the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, they won 103-58 in the regular season, first place in the division. They beat who did they beat? Let's see. They beat the Cincinnati Reds. At the Los Angeles, I'm sorry, Cubs finished. That screws me. I'm sorry.
They beat some teams.
I wasn't prepared. I was looking at the
Cleveland
wrong
Indians. What was it? This is the deciding game that went into extra innings, or was it the game before the deciding game? What was the nail biting game? I just remember seeing LeBron. I mean, I remember watching that game with a bunch of people, and it just seemed like it went on forever. It seemed like, if I remember correctly, it went into extra innings in the World Series, but it was back and forth, and
it was Game 6 or Game 7. I think it might. Yeah. There was. I mean, there were nail biters both of the games, but but it was the Giants that defeated. I apologize, folks. It was the Giants that defeated in the NLDS, and then they defeated the Dodgers in 6 games in the NLCS. There you go. To get to advance to the World Series against, of course, the Cleveland Indians, and whoever won that World Series, right, was going to
Game 7 was 8-7 in 10 innings.
There you go. Game 7 there.
I mean, it was it's probably the best Game 7 I've ever watched.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, and this series, like Game 1, 6-0 Cleveland, Game 2, 5-1 Cubs, then 1-0 Cleveland, then 7-2 Cleveland. Then a 1-run game, which the Cubs won, and then so I mean, there were a couple of close games until 2 out of the first 6 were 1-run games. Well, the others were pretty much blowouts, one way or the other.
Right.
And then an epic 7th game going into 10 innings.
Mm-hmm. And let's not forget, this is essentially the same team that a year earlier got swept in the NLCS.
Yeah. Right. Well, look at these pitching matchups.
Who was that by, Pete? Who was that? Who swept them?
I don't remember.
I forget.
Corey Kluber versus John Lester. Jake Arrieta versus Trevor
Bauer.
Andrew Miller started, I think, or was he? I don't know if he came in. I mean, Lackey, John Lackey.
John Lackey, yeah.
Trevor Bauer, you had Chapman and who was the closer for Cleveland?
Show off.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, they had this. There was some great. Yeah, Shaw.
Yeah.
He blew one game, right? Didn't he? Yeah.
I got a question. I don't remember. Did Trevor?
Yeah, he took the loss in Game 7.
Did Trevor Bauer choke in that game? No, sorry. That was too soon. No.
Yeah, it's just you got to craft the joke a little better. The joke should have been, back in the day, Trevor Bauer waited till October until he started choking.
Hey, that's a much better joke. I like that better. There you go. All right. Anyway, so there you go.
It was a joke, but it wasn't by request.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't requested to choke. He just did it on his own. All right. Number 2 was the 2016 Chicago Cubs. And that brings us to number 1, the number 1 team. Number 1 Major League Baseball team since the year 2000 would be just a few years ago, the 2018 Boston Red Sox. The
Red Sox.
The third Red Sox team on this top 10 list. They went 108-54. 108-54. Most wins in a regular season on this list. First place, obviously, in their division. They defeated the They defeated the defending. They defeated the Yankees in the divisional series, and they defeated the defending champion Houston Astros in 5 games in the championship series, and then went on to the World Series and defeated the Dodgers in 5 games.
Yeah, what were the Yankees and Astros that year? Because did they both win 100 as well or no?
The Yankees in 2018. Yeah, I think they did actually. I think the Yankees had like 101 wins that year.
If I'm not mistaken, this is the first team to win against all 100-win teams.
100 games.
Yankees were 162.
And the Houston
Astros were 103 and 59.
103-59, yeah.
And then who did they
won 108?
And then who did they beat in the World Series?
The Dodgers.
And how many wins did the Dodgers have?
The Dodgers
92.
had 92.
Okay, so it that's what it was. It was I think they were the first team to beat 200 win teams on their way to the World Series. I thought it was all 4, all the teams they beat had 100, but the Dodgers only had 92. But I mean, geez, I think beating the Yankees and the Astros, I think they beat the two of the other top 3 teams in baseball that year. By the time they got to the Dodgers, I don't think the Dodgers were as much of a matchup as the other two, and the dominant team.
And that year, JD Martinez finished second in the majors with a .330 batting average.
He had a hell of a year that year. And he's having a hell of a year this year again.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. And there you go. So.
Great team. This was a team that was decidedly a change in direction for the Red Sox. They were a lot of the guys from those earlier 2000 World Series teams were not there. So it's the current day Red Sox, really.
You're right. Yeah.
With the exception of a couple, people that
and that was a pretty
and Mookie Betts is obviously at the Dodgers now, but
that Dodger team they beat. I mean, Cody Bellinger,
and it was the Alex Cora era, and not
Justin Turner, Jock Peterson.
It's back to the Alex Cora era, right? So
Yasiel Puig, and then guys like Kemp, who's at the end of any usefulness really, but Muncy, Manny Machado,
sure.
Chase Utley, obviously, at the end of his
career. Well, yeah, David Price and Matt Barnes, who were out dueling Kershaw, and you had Craig Kimbrell. Wasn't he their closer that year?
Craig Kimbrell was the closer that
year. Kershaw, Alex Wood, Walker Buehler, Rich Hill.
Mm-hmm. So who was the rest of the? So you had Price, Barnes. What was it? Was Evaldi one of the starting pitchers for the Red Sox?
I believe he was. Chris Sale was a starting pitcher.
That's right, Chris Sale. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was he hurt for that series, or I can't remember. Yeah, but I mean, they had their pitching was what it went from more of a dominant. I mean, they were a good hitting team, but their
Evaldi was a starter.
Evaldi was a starter.
Rick Porcello was a starter.
Chris Sale.
Yeah.
David Price.
I don't think Sale pitched in the World Series though.
I'm getting there right now, actually. In the series, where is it? Here we go. In the World Series, the Matt Barnes pitched game 1 of the World Series.
Yeah.
David Price pitched game 2.
Now Chris Sale actually started, I think.
Nathan Evaldi pitched game 3 and lost.
No.
Joe Kelly pitched game
4.
Well, he might not have started. He was the winning pitcher.
I think Sale actually did start against Clayton Kershaw, but Barnes wound up winning that.
And Price won the clinching game.
Yeah.
So,
there you go. Another Sox team.
There you go. There you have it. The number 1 team on our list, our Major League Baseball top 10 Major League Baseball teams since 2000 list is the 2018 Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, Price had 2 wins and Kershaw had 2 losses in that series.
Exactly. So, and
another Dodgers choke.
Another Dodgers choke.
And another top 10.
Another top
in
10
the
books. And that brings us to, and we haven't even discussed this, so this is going to be on the fly.
I don't know who I didn't pick old balls.
Why don't we pick one together? This week's
like a team from 2000.
Old balls team from the 2000s.
Old balls team from 2000. Let's just do something. There we go. This week's old balls.
All right. Well, let's see who. It's got to be that the scrappiest of the teams that didn't make our list. either the Nationals or the Kansas City Royals. That Nationals team, especially under the circumstances that they won and everything. I don't know. To me, that was kind of a great. And then when the Royals won, that was a team that it was the only team in the history of sports that was made up of the most dominant bullpen ever. Their bullpen won them World Series. Don't you think?
I do agree with that.
And then they've disappeared ever since.
What about that team that had a really, 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 really good year and I know I'm a homer for saying it, but in 06.
The Mets, yeah.
That was a really good team.
It was a good team.
It was, and they should have roller skated past the Tigers in the World Series.
Well, which of those teams though had like the most old guys on it?
Well, I don't know, but I'll tell you,
Mets were kind of a young team.
I'll tell you the other team that didn't make it on here, but the 2019 Astros might have been better than the 2017 Astros. They just happened to lose to the Nationals in what was kind of maybe. That was a great team. 2006 Mets were a great team.
That was a great story for the Nationals too. They started off terrible. They were like weren't they a wild card team? At a 333 winning clip for the first.
Didn't they play in a best of 4 penalty kicks to get into the playoffs? And
just to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Right. There's a lot. There's been a lot.
There
of
you go.
Couple
of choices for your old.
A lot of good
balls.
teams over the years that didn't taste the playoffs, which was really horrible because they should have at least had some time and spent some time in the playoffs that season or those seasons. But the fact that a team like the Mets, they should not have lost to the and I'm not even saying it as a Mets fan. They should not have lost to the Cardinals that year. They shouldn't. The Cardinals, they pushed the right buttons and pulled the right strings and did what they had to do. But the Mets should have been out of that series in 5, maybe 6 games tops. Shouldn't have even gone to Game 7, and they should have roller skated right through the World Series. But what are you going to do?
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Well,
listen, I had the. It's funny. I had 2 Yankees teams on my list, but I did not have the Astros on the list for. My usual
you did not
cheaty reasons, so I left them off. I admit they were a great team and they are an excellent team, and it wasn't that those players were no good and wouldn't have won anything without cheating, but we know that they did. So, but I put the 2002 Yankees on my list as well.
You did.
That was a damn good team too.
Yeah, there's a lot of good. The other team that obviously you have the Red Sox and the Dodgers and the Astros and the San Francisco Giants who pop up multiple times, Sure. But the other team that I think people forget about and was also a big win that they hadn't necessarily won it in a while was that 2011 St. Louis Cardinals team, and that was an interesting World Series because they played the Texas Rangers, who people forget were in the World Series that year.
Yeah.
So
that was back to back for the Rangers, wasn't it?
Right.
They lost to the Giants in 2010, and then the Cardinals in 2011. So
the 2000s were pretty good.
It was a good. It's been a good 20 years.
20 years.
So
that's right. Well, and the Royals didn't they beat the Mets?
The Royals beat the Mets. They lost to the Giants in 2014, and then
I think people forget that the Mets were in the World Series 6 years ago.
I don't.
Yeah.
But then the Mets were able to win one game in the last 30.
That Royals team reminded me of that Nationals team where it was just.
They were a really good team the year before against the Giants.
They were a really good
in a weird way, and you knew they were never going to be that way again.
No, it was. They had that shot. They had that window right there. Those 2 years, and they had to get it done. So
they got it right 1 year.
They did. It was 30 years apart from the last time they won. The only other time they won, in '85. So there you go. All right, that's a little mishmash of this week's old balls. All right. So why don't we talk about the team that none of us thought was going to.
No, I thought they were going to win. I picked them in 7.
You did, and I said if they were going to win, they were going to win in 7. But
I said they were going to lose in no more than 5, and then no more than 6.
And there you go.
Yeah, at first it was a sweep, then it was 5, then it was 6.
I never said sweep. I said.
But you didn't. That's right. You said a gentleman's sweep.
I said I'd be surprised if it was more than 5, and then they won a couple, and I said I'd be surprised if it was more than 6. I had to stick to my guns at that point.
Here's my takeaway from the NBA Finals: defense and a mid-range jumper will always win you a championship, and it's back. And look, there was a great Onion article that said that Giannis Antetokounmpo heavily criticized for footwork during hoisting of MVP trophy, and it's true. He had, I think it was he was tied for the second most points ever in a deciding game. I think somebody scored 51. But in the modern era, he's scored the most points in a deciding finals game.
Right.
More than Jordan, more than Magic. I mean, Jordan's 45, Magic's rookie year performance. This is right up there with it. And for a guy who couldn't hit the side of a barn, he hit 17 and 19 free throws and looked like, he looked like Jerry West out there shooting free throws. So, I mean, that was a big time performance, and they played team basketball. And I think the scary thing about Milwaukee is that yes, they won. They were a toe away from losing to Brooklyn. They're still probably not favored against a healthy Brooklyn squad. But there's one thing that I think that for them being able to play together a whole year, they bought into defense, and the defensive adjustments that they made after Game 2. You saw it consistently, and the Suns could not break it. They put pressure on the ball as they were coming up the court, and I've never seen a team play better against the sort of pick and swing or the pick and roll that the Suns do. And they didn't have an answer for Giannis. And when Middleton played fairly well, the Bucks won, and he did it in the last 4 games. And I don't think Drew Holiday is the long-term answer for them to continue or to defend their championship. And he had a horrible shooting night last night, but his defense was incredible.
Right.
And he had a pretty good night in, I think, Game 6, right?
Yeah.
So he's done enough.
And can as a Knicks fan, can we just say Bobby Portis? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a reserve player. I mean, it was Robert Horry only with better defense and some really clutch mid-range jumpers. I mean, Bobby Portis was the X factor, and especially in Game 7.
You could say that.
Suns have a good team. I don't think either team was coached spectacularly well. I think that both teams
agree with that. Yeah.
I think both teams are easily forget what works for them and go away from it.
Right.
But the Bucks. I think the Bucks had more experience, and look, you have to give Giannis in the biggest game of his life. He played the best game of his life,
right?
Yep.
And there's very few people that you could say that about. I mean, that was Walt Frazier-like.
You got
the numbers and the dominance that he had in a deciding game.
You could tell that he was not losing that game.
No, and.
Yeah, it was something of a coming out party for him, sort of a solidification that he really is a superstar, and he did it on the biggest stage. I mean, he put up 50. And look, Devin Booker had a couple nights where he disappeared, including Game 7.
Right.
But even if he'd had a good night in Game 7,
it wasn't going to be
there. I think it still would have been close. I mean, but, there were long stretches where you're right, the Bucks defense frustrated Phoenix, and they could not seem to come up with anything other than give Devin the ball and let him run around and create his own shot. And he's, a spectacular player, but you can't do that again and again and again. And eventually there's going to be turnovers, or, he's going to start missing shots.
Yeah.
When look, Chris Paul, I think, he led the Suns in points for Game 7, which is not the formula you want.
Right.
Yeah, the Suns have some good players in Ayton and Crowder, but Giannis finally realized that when you take that talent and skill set and and you stick it in the paint and you're not shooting 3-pointers, there's nobody that can stop you. And the Bucks kind of went small. You didn't see a ton of Brook Lopez last night. And despite Connaughton and Drew Holiday
was terrible.
Really stinking on the offensive side, their defensive game was nearly flawless. And both teams had a bunch of flurry of turnovers in the fourth quarter. But you could tell by the look on the Suns' faces and their body language from that end of the third quarter on, they knew it was over. They just knew it. They had a fantastic second quarter to take the lead at halftime. Outscored them 31-13 in the second quarter.
Sure.
But the Bucks found a way to come back, and Chris Middleton, who seems to not play very well in the first half of playoff games, he hit some clutch shots, and Giannis took over, and that was it. And Bobby Portis, by the way, the refs sort of gave the Suns 4 or 5, maybe 6 points of a gift, because there were a couple of those plays, they were not fouls. They were not fouls.
Yeah, there were a number of
fantastic defensive plays.
There were
questionable calls throughout this whole series. I
thought the refs gave Chris Paul in particular the benefit of the doubt. All that chirping and complaining and belly aching and bullshit that he does paid off, because it probably put the Suns 6, 7, 8 points closer to the Bucks towards the end of the game.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it wasn't enough. I think both teams have a bright future. I think they both need another player if they're going to really beat a healthy Lakers, or if they're going to beat a healthy Brooklyn to get there again. But Milwaukee's defense was maybe the best I've seen in a championship team since either the Pistons or the Spurs, where they just were able to clamp down on people.
Yeah, agreed. Totally. No.
And I think it's good for basketball. I mean, did you see how many people were outside of the stadium? 65,000 plus outside the stadium?
That town loves the Bucks.
Well, what else do they have going on there?
Well, they have
more than the Brewers, and obviously Green Bay is their
Brewers
team,
and the Packers.
Okay, but the Packers are not doing anything now except causing everyone agita, right? Or Aaron Rodgers.
Well, wouldn't it be great if the Bucks and Brewers win a championship in the same year, and then Aaron Rodgers decides not to play for the Green Bay Packers?
And then they go back to the championship game without him, and they still lose, and they lose anyway.
Or they go back with,
or they win.
They win it with the kid. Could you imagine? My God! It's not going to happen. But could you imagine if it did?
I mean, if Antetokounmpo plays tight end, they might have a chance.
Oh, jeez.
But I mean, look, I think I've never seen an MVP or a Finals MVP where I look at him and go, you know what? If he does this, this, and this, he could be even better than he was. I mean, I could just picture him dominating even more.
And there was a lot of talk, and I think rightfully so, really up until Game 6 or certainly Game 7 of Chris Middleton.
Where the Bucks won 2 big playoff games without him. And look, he came back from what looked like a really intense injury with his knee. He's a tough guy. He had a back. It looked like he hurt his back at the end of the beginning of the fourth or end of the third quarter there. He's a physical specimen. You have to give his conditioning is maybe the best in the league when it comes to. He's just a resilient guy. He's still in the prime of his life physically, and you gotta love it. A small market, he decides to stay there, and there was some circumstantial things that led to the Bucks being able to do that, but the Bucks did it, and you can't take that away from them. Much like Toronto a couple years ago, you have to. You still have to win.
Yeah, you have to win. The result.
And look, I think they were one of the top 2 seeds in the East. I think they'll be that way again next year. I think there's way more upside to the Bucks than there is to Philadelphia with what's on there, and I think there's less question marks with the Bucks. And if they could add a shooter or a 3-and-D kind of backcourt player, and maybe somebody to kind of that's a little younger, if they could keep Bobby Portis and get another frontline player who's maybe a little younger than Brook Lopez, they could be in the hunt the next 2 or 3 years easily.
Yeah, it could be. They definitely could be. But the people in Milwaukee though, they love their Bucks. There was, I mean, there could be. I've been in Milwaukee when there's a Brewers series going on, and there's nothing but fear the deer signs everywhere. It's just.
But look, the Brewers are right there too. The Brewers are right there too, and it could be a very good year for Milwaukee.
It could be. We shall see.
But congrats. And look, and I'll tell you one thing. I think seeing the coach of the Suns, Monty Williams, going over to the locker room of the Bucks. I don't know if you saw any of the film of that.
No.
Went over, made a point of visiting them while in their locker room after the game. Class act. And look, I think there's a lot of upside to the Suns team. They've got some talent on that team, and his coaching and what he's been able to do to this team deserves a lot more credit.
Deserves a lot more credit. It deserves a lot more credit. That's what he was going to say. I'm pretty sure.
I think he was going to say cred.
It deserves a lot more credit.
Carrots.
I said credit.
I thought he was carrots. That's his
credulity.
His credulity.
Fragility.
Exactly.
He deserves a lot more credulity.
Credulity. There you go. Anyway, so well, congrats to the 2020-2021 Milwaukee Bucks
good for them. When was their last title?
Oh geez,
50.
Yeah,
5 year.
50.
71.
Yeah. Good for them.
71 years.
I like the Suns, but hey,
50 years. 71 was the last time they won.
There you go. All right. Well, on that note,
football. Oh no,
we got some football to talk about.
Do we?
I'm gonna let you guys talk about football because I'm gonna get the hell out of here.
Because you got a previous engagement you need to attend. What did you say?
Yeah.
You have a meeting with the Broncos, right?
And nobody wants to hear me talk about the third string offensive lineman for the New York Giants. So
this is true.
It looks like you lost Pete.
So. I was going to say, hopefully Pete's coming back, or I'm talking football.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Jersey Johnny Show.
There he is.
I was trying to get out before you, so you'd have to stay.
No.
All right. Well,
John can ramble on all he wants about the
referees.
The signings of the third string quarterback for the Giants.
No. I see a couple interesting things to talk about. I'll say one before you leave, because I want to get your take on it, and then you can get the hell out of there really quick.
All right.
This offseason, note on coming across the wire or whatever, happened the other day. I read it. This offseason, the Packers did offer, it was revealed or whatever, that the Packers did offer Aaron Rodgers a 2-year contract extension that would have him tied to Green Bay for 5 more seasons, and it would make him the highest paid quarterback and player in the NFL. Didn't say what the numbers were, but obviously it would have to be better than Mahomes' money, right? And he turned it down. So
who really knows what's going on there? I mean, the only thing that I could think of is this just his way because he knows the Packers are not going to trade him? Is this just his way of having an excuse to not play? Is he done? Is he done mentally? I don't know.
I don't know what to say about it either. It's just very, very odd. It's very, very odd.
Other than Green Bay, okay, taking into account the teams that have a definitive starting quarterback,
right?
Okay, even ones that are great, but where else is he going to go that has more talent? Denver is certainly not the answer. I don't even think San Francisco is the answer. The one team that has a ton of question marks at the offensive line, but arguably has stacked themselves with receivers, is the New York Giants.
Yeah.
And there's no chance that Gettleman's going to give up his dream boy of Daniel Jones for Aaron Rodgers. I would love to see it. I would love to see Aaron Rodgers finish out his career in New York.
If this was next year and Jones didn't have a great year this year, I would say that absolutely happens. They give him Jones, and they give him all the draft pick capital from next year.
They probably don't want Jones, so you hold on to Jones. You make him a backup, which is where he belongs. Rodgers plays 2 more years, and then you got yourself you
get another trophy, and
then you can watch them. Then you can watch Daniel Jones self-destruct for 3 years. But no, I don't know what's going on there. Either there's something cooking and he's going to play this year and then leverage that for an even bigger. I don't think it's money. I really don't.
I don't either. Well, it's clearly not. If they're going to make him the highest paid quarterback, and he said no.
I think there's something stuck in his craw with ownership of that team and the general manager of that team, and I don't think he wants to play anymore. I don't think he wants to go. I don't think he wanted to go to San Francisco. I don't think he wants to go to. Yeah. His girlfriend or fiance lives here in Denver or Boulder. That's not it. That's not it.
Could you imagine if it was, though? And all of this is because of that?
It's not it.
I'm sure it's not. I'm just saying. But who knows? Who knows? I'm sure. I still say come opening week, he's playing. That's my.
Maybe that's the biggest bet we got going on.
I want to know where is Jeopardy filmed and how far is it from Denver?
There you go.
Well,
I think those,
not closer than Green Bay, but not as close.
Not that close, right?
Not that close, yeah. So.
I don't know. Rogers, it's just proving that he's maybe more of a peculiar duck than we even think he is. But look, Green Bay's better this year, arguably on paper, than they were last year.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know. I don't.
Well, that might be sort of his what he wants to do too. Maybe he's just gonna hold out to the last second, and then step in and be the hero and prove to everyone that the management is a bunch of assholes. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. Maybe he's
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, if you're listening, the world wants you to come back and lose to Tom Brady one more time.
Right. Well, and I was going to say that, and I'm sure this is not the reason. However,
Tom's going.
I don't think that this would be happening if Brady retired after last year.
No, you might be right. You might be right.
So, because he'd have a clear shot at just walking right through with this team, walking right through winning the Super Bowl.
Oh, by the way, Brady might be healthy this year. That's the other update in the NFL is that he wasn't healthy all of last year.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, he wasn't. Oh, so that's why they only lost. That's why they lost the 5 games they lost, right?
Right.
Or 4 games or whatever it was they lost.
Right.
Yeah, he had a bad knee the whole year.
So is he gonna get his undefeated season again?
What was Max Kellerman's term? The cliff. Everybody falls off the cliff.
The cliff.
Yeah. Look, I just think that with the way in which the NFL, other than teams that already have a Mahomes, a Brady, fill in the blank, there's no team better than the Packers for Aaron Rodgers to go to set himself up to win a championship next year. There isn't. Prove me wrong.
There isn't.
Unless he goes and starts, I can't think of another team.
There is not one other team that doesn't have a good quarterback already.
And why would you want to?
Why would you want to do that?
Go to the Oakland or Denver or any of these. It makes no sense at all.
None at all.
There's in the back of his mind. There's either you're right. He just is trying to make a point, and he's going to show up and play. And he doesn't want an extension. He just wants to maybe play through his contract, or he's done.
Right.
He's done.
Well, we'll find out.
There we go. We figured it out.
All right. So, heading out?
I'm out.
All right. Thank you, Harry. We will talk to you next week.
When we do the top 10 reasons for Aaron Rodgers not signing an extension.
Top 10 reasons for Aaron Rodgers not signing an extension in Green Bay. Perfect. That's the list. Yeah, there you go.
Congratulations, Milwaukee Bucks.
Congrats, Bucks. You got it. All right. Well, Harry has left us for the evening, so it's just the Johnny and Pete show.
With nothing to talk about.
Now that we've
exhausted cricket semifinals were on.
Oh, that cricket was great, wasn't it?
One of those. I think it was India and England. I don't know.
I don't know where it was.
I couldn't tell who won.
Well, I got a couple other things. The NFL wise, so I left it up there. Whatchamacallit, Giants, it's clear. I was just going to say that it's clear that they're making an effort. They're surrounding Daniel Jones with a bunch of new pieces in addition to everything that he had. Hopefully Saquon Barkley is back and healthy and running like he did 3 years ago, and we'll see what happens there. But, between Galladay and Kyle Rudolph and Kadarius Toney, drafting Kadarius Toney, and then even on defense, not that it has anything to do with Jones, but drafting Azeez Ojulari and, signing Adoree Jackson,
They're dropping those names, don't you?
They're making a push. Yeah, exactly.
They have to, right? I mean,
they have to.
Is anybody else in that division going to take gigantic strides forward?
No. And of course, every single outlet, every single media outlet is picking Dallas to win the division. Of course they are, because that's the team you pick every year. You pick Dallas every year, right? So what do you got to do? But
but who else has really deserved to be picked over the last few years?
Well, I got to be honest with you. I not that I'm all too happy about saying this, but unless Daniel Jones and I wouldn't even say Daniel Jones, unless that offensive line actually has gelled and Pat Flaherty coming back in the mix and making some sort of an improvement to giving some sort of a decent line in front of Daniel Jones, and he can stop at the turnovers and they can turn his career around and actually do something this year to reward himself with that fifth-year option and on from there. Unless that happens, I got to be honest with you. I think the Washington Redskins, the Washington football team, have a better shot of winning the division because of a few reasons. One,
they've got a good defense.
Their defense is amazing, right? They have decent skill players, and they have Fitzmagic now.
Yeah, but that's he's only good for the first
10 games.
8 games.
9 games.
8.5, let's say.
Well,
I hear what you're saying. My point, I guess, is that there's no one else in that division who was going to be really good, and then their star quarterback went down, and they just fell to shit. Everybody was kind of. I mean, you could. I guess I don't even think that's the MO for the Cowboys. I think that could have been around last year, and they would have been obviously better than they were. But
I don't think they still would have won.
They wouldn't have been world beaters who were destroying the rest of the division. So,
but in that division, though, they could have won 7 games and still won the division because 6 and 10 won the division.
They could have. They could have. But would they have been more than a 9 or 10 win team? Probably not.
No.
It was a mediocre division, and look, every team should be trying to step up.
Exactly.
And I think the Giants are in a great position to do that. They obviously want to put some points on the board, which is good, considering you're going to have to play, that Redskins defense.
Exactly.
So I think they're doing the right thing. And look, Barkley stays healthy, then you're going to add a running game, And look, you don't have to blow open holes for Barkley.
No.
Right? So you could be a decent run blocking offensive line, right? And a mediocre pass blocking line and still get some things done.
Right.
Right. Or you could be kind of a lousy run blocking line and still get yards from Barkley. And if you're a pretty good pass blocking line, well, then now you've got Jones.
Now it's opening up. Yeah.
All these weapons. And you've got Barkley catching passes too.
Yeah.
He's a multifaceted weapon. So,
and the fact that he's there, as long as holes aren't opening up, as long as the line is gelling to some extent, even if he's not breaking 30 and 40 and 50-yard runs all the time out, as long as he's playing, as long as it's decent smash mouth football and he's getting a good 4, 5, 6 yards to carry, that's opening up the passing game because he's obviously moving the ball on the ground.
Yeah.
So
you don't want to do. You don't want to have to, rely on I'll say this comparison, but a Barry Sanders kind of running back, not in how great, but in the guy who gets 2 yards and minus 4 yards and 6 yards and then 4 yards and then 62 yards.
And then, exactly.
That's not the game plan you really want. Well, we just have to keep running him until he breaks one off. No, you want a controlled, consistent offense that uses both parts of the attack to move the ball down the field.
And unfortunately, for the last 2 years, that's been the Giants' game plan. Not intentionally, but been what the Giants have done because it's been a 4-yard run, a 2-yard run, a 1-yard run, a 3-yard loss, a 1-yard loss, a 5, and then Barkley breaks one open, and not 62, only maybe 30 or something like that. But and that's what's been, and that's why he got hurt because he's fighting, he's trying to get every yard he can because they're relying on him, and he knows he's carrying the team on his back because they can't, they can't open the holes for him.
And they never had the passing weapons for Jones that they have this year.
No. He's got quality passing weapons right now. They have a real tight end in Kyle Rudolph. They have a great wide receiver in Kenny Golladay. Kadarius Toney, if he could stay in his sneakers,
everybody says this guy's something special too.
He looks like the real deal. Plus, they still have Slayton. They still got Sterling Shepard. I was going to say Sharp. Sterling Shepard.
Who's the guy that can't hold on to the ball? Is that Slayton?
That's Evan Ingram, the other tight end.
Oh, okay.
But now maybe you can use him in a slot kind of a thing because he's Evan Ingram.
Can he block?
No, that's why he shouldn't be a tight end. He should be a slot receiver.
Okay,
but who the hell knows? But
slot receiver can't catch the ball, or
slot receiver. Well,
my point is, if you're going to put in a 2 tight end set, if he could block, then you could, use him to block, and therefore he's a threat for the run. And then you've got Rudolph who can, break off and head out into the flat.
Right. But maybe if you put in a 2 wide receiver set, and 2 tight end set, and you make it look like Kyle Rudolph's in there to block, and you're gonna toss the ball to Evan Ingram, and then Kyle Rudolph breaks off of his block and cuts across in the flat, and gains you 10 yards.
Or if you keep Rudolph into block, and no one's really going to be looking at Ingram because he could bust one. He could just that block, and then they release, and then they go out.
Right,
just 4 or 5 yards into the flat, and maybe no one's really going to be looking at him when you got 2 guys on the sides. Maybe you got Barkley swinging out the opposite. The opposite coming out, swinging out of the backfield, the opposite side.
Sure, exactly. And anything is, and maybe that even works better for him. Maybe he doesn't have to worry too much about the block and release, and he can just concentrate on catching the ball, and maybe that'll help him with his hands a little bit better. But hopefully. they did set themselves up with Daniel Jones nicely. So with all those draft picks next year, so this way, if for some reason Jones just doesn't, amount to anything this year, and it's on him, so to speak, and they're going to move on from him. They have plenty of draft capital to actually move up and take the number 1 pick or wherever they got to go to get the quarterback they want next year. So, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Right now, though, Daniel Jones, as of right now, completion percentage wise among active starters, he's 5th from the bottom of the list.
It's
31st. He's 31st right now at 62.5%, and he's ahead of Dwayne Haskins at 61.4, Sam Darnold at 59.6, Carson Wentz at 57.4, and Drew Lock at 57.3. Those are the only ones that are worse completion percentage than Daniel Jones right now. So,
well, look, here's the thing about Jones. I think in a certain way, it's a win-win. He's a win-win for the team because if he doesn't turn into the quarterback that you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then obviously it's a rookie contract, so you haven't spent that much money on him, right?
Right.
And you've built a real quality offense.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And you haven't spent a lot of money on your quarterback, and you haven't spent a lot of draft capital to move up and draft that big quarterback yet. So now you have a ready-made offense that if it doesn't work out, like you just said, next year you bring in the quarterback. Right?
Or
trade whatever.
And
in other words,
get your guy.
Right. However you do it,
one way or the other.
Now you have the offensive weapons,
right,
and you bring in the quarterback, whether it's a veteran, whether it's a draft pick you like, whatever.
Right.
So in that sense, and it hasn't cost you a lot of money for Daniel Jones, so he's filled the space, and you haven't been very good. Been some pretty lousy seasons, right? Last season was exciting only because everyone else was really lousy too. Sure. But you filled that space, built the rest of the offense, right? And it hasn't cost you a lot of money at quarterback. Yeah. And really, what if you had brought in another quarterback a few years ago? You wouldn't have had Barkley.
Right, exactly.
For much of that time. So you would have been, and now you could say, well, the team would have been better because you'd have a much better quarterback than Jones. Yeah, but you wouldn't have had, your number 1 offensive. Barkley's still the number 1 offensive weapon on this team.
Of course.
No offense to any of those receivers.
Of course. And they know.
So if he turns out to be great this year or really, really good and you see the improvement and you go, well, let's give him the extension, then great. If he turns out to be he's just mediocre and we don't think he's ever going to develop. Okay, well, now we have the rest of our offense built, right? Nobody's going anywhere for a few years. I mean, Barkley, right? You still have to make the decision on him, right?
Yep. Well, yeah, because this is his 4th year.
Right.
So his 5th year option and then, re-sign him, or what are you going to do with him? Obviously, they're going to wait to see what his production is like this year after the injury. So
right. But the rest of your offense, again, assuming your offensive line is, good to very good or at least passable. So now the rest of your offense is built, and now you bring in your quarterback. So, either way, I think that I don't think that was the plan when they drafted Daniel Jones.
It was not the plan when they drafted, but it's come to that.
And build an offense around him, but that's exactly what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, I think you can look at that as a good thing. We have a ready-made offense. Now we can drop Aaron Rodgers in.
Right.
And say, well, look what we were able to do last year with Daniel Jones at the helm.
Exactly.
We got Saquon Barkley, and he's locked up, and he's healthy. And we got Galladay, and what's the other guy's name? Tony has turned into a stud.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe lure him away.
Exactly.
So I think in that sense, as far as the offense goes, Giants are kind of in a win-win. If Jones is great, then the pick turned out to be right, at least, for the next couple of years.
Right. Exactly.
If he doesn't turn out to really blossom into what you want, okay, we built a great offense, and we're now ready to stick in that one piece, and we're ready to roll.
Exactly.
Win-win.
Win-win.
You just had to endure, what's this? Is this his fourth year? Jones' fourth year?
This will be Jones's third year.
So you'd have to endure, whatever, 3 years of ugh.
Right, exactly.
3 years of flashes of brilliance and a lot of disappointment.
Exactly. So,
but that's not terrible.
It's not where they're at right now is not a terrible position. So.
No, when you're trying to rebuild something, that's not a horribly long time. I mean, they haven't been good in a little while, but
last time they were good was 5 years ago when they went 11-5 and lost to Green Bay in the wild card round.
But so you're moving forward. You're moving forward. You're building your team.
Mm-hmm.
What more can you ask for?
Exactly. So, breaking news out of Jets camp today, by the way. Did you hear
it? Zach Wilson broke his hand.
Nope. They're signing the door that blocked Richard Sherman.
Oh, I did see a rumor about that.
Yeah.
I think it's a good get.
I think it is.
Although I'm worried about his in-laws now because now what's going to keep him out?
Now they take the door away from his in-laws.
That door comes to New York.
Exactly.
What's going to keep Richard
What
Sherman
are they going to
out?
do now? Exactly. Well, I mean, they can replace it. Obviously, they're going to have to get something back for it. So.
Right.
It wasn't a free agent door. It was, they signed him away.
Right. No, my point is I don't think a mere restraining order is going to keep Richard Sherman at bay.
Probably not. But
get an endorsement deal with Home Depot.
Exactly. The other thing
have a ribbon cutting ceremony and the new door is installed,
The other thing I'm concerned about is they're going to have to get a specialized uniform, though. It's not going to.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm sure they can work on that. But
wide set of shoulder pads.
Exactly. So anyway, other than that, there hasn't been a whole lot of news out of Jets.
And you know what? That's fine with me. I don't want drama. Right. Robert Saleh has been very quiet. We know he's very enthusiastic. The players seem to like him. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep rolling. Don't need to talk about not kissing anybody's rings or anything like that.
Right.
Just get it. Do your talking on the field.
Exactly. Sad news, though. Assistant coach Greg Knapp. Did you see that?
No, I have not seen any NFL news.
He got in a bike accident. And he's
motorcycle or bicycle?
Bicycle. Yeah, right. Right here. Hold on, I'm pulling it up right here. He apparently was bicycling in Danville, California, near his home in Danville, California, and he got in. He was struck by a single motorist at approximately 2:49 p.m. On Saturday. According to the San Ramon police, based on preliminary investigation, drugs and or alcohol were not a factor, police said. The vehicle's driver, whose name is being withheld, is cooperating with police. It happened at a busy intersection that includes a traffic light about 27 miles east of Oakland. Knapp's family and Jets coach Robert Saleh released statements on Tuesday confirming the accident and asking for prayers. So, apparently they're pretty bad injuries.
Yeah, that's terrible.
That's not good. But hopefully he pulls through. That would be yeah. Prayers go out to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
But short of that, though, there's not. It is quiet. Quiet on the all quiet on the Florham Park front.
On the football front, I mean, The only stories that are getting any traction are basically the media trying to drum something up. But we've got mini camps coming soon, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The training camp starts next week. We're a week away from training camp. Next week. Yeah. Regular training camps start next week. A couple of weeks we're having preseason games.
It's the end of July already. What the hell?
Yes, it is. A week from this Sunday is August 1st.
All right, you know what? Let me look up. Let me pull something up here. I got to remember where it is. See if I can give a teaser. I have to look at this. This is an article that I saved from, I don't know, a few weeks ago.
All right.
Let me look at it really quickly. It was about the quirks and weird stuff going on in the NFL schedule for this upcoming season.
Okay.
So let's see. Okay, I'll just give you the first one. I read through this, but it was a couple of weeks ago. So the Cleveland Browns have something very interesting going on this season. They're going to be doing something that no NFL team has done for 30 years.
Okay.
And that is they're playing back-to-back games against the same opponent.
Interesting.
However, I think if I read this correctly, there's a bye week in between. Week 12, that is.
12.
Week 12, they're playing in Baltimore.
Okay.
Then they have a bye week 13, and then they get visited by the Ravens week 14.
Gotcha.
First time since 1991 when the Chargers and Seahawks played each other back-to-back, and I don't believe there was a bye week then. So this is not exactly the same, but again, something which to me, what's more surprising is that this hasn't happened more often, especially with the bye week since then. I would have thought at some point in the last 30 years, two teams would have played each other with a bye week in between.
Yeah, you thought that would happen, yeah.
I wouldn't have expected two teams directly back-to-back in 2 weeks, but so there you go. So one of the many, I think about it, half a dozen or so, quirks, weird things that are happening, strange things that haven't happened or haven't ever happened with the NFL schedule for this upcoming season.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I pulled down the week 1 schedule. We'll go over that, and we can go over that next week. We can talk more football.
Yeah, I've been kind of hanging on to it till we get into football, and I figure I'll
do the teaser, and we'll look at the rest of them.
Yeah, we'll talk about a few of them, in the weeks leading up to. Don't want to be talking about an oddity that happens in week 3 when it's already week 5.
This is very true. This is very true.
Try and get them out before the season officially starts.
Couple other things. Just global NFL news. You saw Cam Akers, right, for the Rams. Towards Achilles tendon, he's out for the season. He's their, he's their running back. So that sucks for the Rams.
Yeah. What is with the Rams and running backs lately?
I don't know. Yeah, because
you have a great one, and then the next year he seems to suck for no reason.
Before that was whatchamacallit? He's on Atlanta now.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. That's the guy I'm talking about.
Right.
He came out of nowhere, and then he disappeared into nowhere.
Exactly. Jalen Ramsey. You see the news about him?
Nope.
Bashing Tom Coughlin.
No, what did he say?
He was interviewed. Jalen Ramsey was interviewed, and he was bashing Tom Coughlin, saying that the Jags did not like him. Just didn't like him. Now, this is a guy that was the first head coach of the Jags ever.
Right.
And they were relevant the entire time he was there.
I was going to say they had the most success when he was their coach that they ever had, right?
Yeah, they definitely did. And the first year that he went back to the Jags after he left the Giants, and that he was there was 2017, and they went to the AFC Championship game against the Patriots. Yeah.
We know what Tom Coughlin did for the Giants.
Of course, exactly.
Right. And I think who was I forget. I think it was on this sports show up in Westchester when he got hired, and I went, I don't know if he's the right. Oh no, I was out in Riverhead. I went, I don't know if he's the right guy. Maybe we'll see. Well, apparently, he was the right guy.
Apparently, he was. And
but it's him. It's not Rams. It's not you, Jalen.
It's
Coughlin.
It's definitely Coughlin.
You're right.
Absolutely.
You're right. He's terrible.
You're 100% right.
Yeah, he's terrible. He has no track record of success.
None at all.
And you, Jalen Ramsey, have a mile-long track record of Super Bowl success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good
call, kid.
A lot of the Giants, came to his defense. It was all over Twitter. Came to his defense, and the list goes on with everybody. Brandon Jacobs, Michael Strahan, blah blah blah. Michael Strahan had a very tumultuous relationship with him in the early years that he was there.
I was going to say, I'm sure when he got there, right, he took over for Fossil.
Yep.
Right, who was apparently, as the years go by, we find out was more relaxed than we even thought.
Right? Yeah,
and I'm sure there were a lot of guys who didn't like the change in the regime and how they were 5 minutes late to a meeting, even when they were on time or whatever it was.
Exactly.
But winning is the great panacea, and I'm sure they all understood. Those that stuck around or were kept around understood after just a couple of seasons that Coughlin knew what the hell he was doing.
That he knew what he was doing, and also once they realized, even though he might have been getting under their skin a little bit with all of the rigorous rules and everything that he was setting. Once they realized that he actually cared about them, then they realized, what, this is stupid. He's right. We gotta get behind him, and it worked. And it worked.
Yeah, and
they won Super Bowls.
Yeah, you find out that it works, and then you buy in.
Yeah.
And then it works even better. So
exactly. So
yeah, okay.
We'll see what happens there.
Remind me not to subscribe to Jalen Ramsey's podcast.
Jalen Ramsey's podcast or his Twitter account.
I'm going to stay away from his Twitter and his blog posts.
There you go. One other.
Listen, he might not be saying anything that's not true.
Yeah.
Did that make sense? He might be telling the truth.
He might not be saying anything that's not true. It's double negative, but it makes
There's an easier way to say it. He might be telling the truth.
He might be telling the truth.
There might be a lot of guys who don't like Coughlin.
Sure.
But I would think they would be on the wrong side of that argument.
Well, he left and the Jag. He left and the Jags still didn't win, so I don't think.
Yeah, right. It's not like they got better, and he was the one holding them back. So.
Exactly. So now let's see what happens now. They got T-Law. So
yeah,
we'll see what they do there. One other newt from. It's my shorten. It's news note. It's newt. One other newt.
It's not quite a note because I didn't want to bog you down with a whole note.
It's just a newt.
Just a newt. Little
newt. There you go. Did you see what the ESPN games, the Monday Night Football on ESPN? There's going to be two.
You can stop saying "Did you see?" in front of all your questions because I didn't see anything.
You didn't. All right.
I honestly didn't.
Monday Night Football starting this year. There's going to be most nights. There's going to be 10 of the broadcasts are going to be simulcast broadcasts. There's going to be a broadcast on ESPN and a separate broadcast on ESPN2. ESPN is going to be the regular one that they do with the hosts that they have and have had and whatever.
What are they doing on ESPN2?
ESPN2 is going to be hosted by none other than Mr. Peyton Manning and Mr. Eli Manning. 10 games a season for the next 3 years. Peyton and Eli will be announcing and moderating, or whatever you want to call it, commentating on 10 of the games on ESPN2 every Monday night.
Just those two?
There might be somebody else, but
there has to be somebody else, right?
Both of them plus whoever else is going to be. They're the stars, though. They're the reason.
Right?
They're the reason to watch ESPN2 instead of regular ESPN.
There has to be a third. I'd say there has to be a third party because.
Well, maybe they'll put Booger McFarland back on the sideline on that cart back and forth.
Actually, they'll just keep him out in the hall and he can yell through the doorway.
Yell through the door, exactly.
Like I can't see Eli being a color man. I'm not saying he doesn't have the knowledge. He just. I don't know. Like, how much have we ever heard Eli Manning speak?
I've heard him. I've heard him talk enough.
Press conferences and stuff. Can you imagine him calling play-by-play though?
No, you know what? It's probably my guess is going to be a play-by-play guy, and there's going to be the two of them.
And the two of them
are going to be, and not so much color. Well, color, yeah, but not so much like your typical color, like stats and stuff like that.
So is one of them going to be like the Dennis Miller?
Yeah, it's going to be more like a Dennis Miller kind of thing. Exactly.
And the other guy's going to be the Tony Kornheiser.
Remember
those experiments?
Oh, yeah. No,
neither one of them went over very well.
No, but it's going to be something to tune in for because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Manningisms, if you will, if that's a word, if we can use it. And there's going to be a lot of inner circle type stuff, and
I was going to say Go ahead.
Whether it's the Manning inner circle or just the NFL inner circle type stuff.
Right.
And it's going to be a reason to tune in, and it's going to give
what we'll hear is a lot of really intelligent and insightful inside stuff about the game from those guys.
Right. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Not just like, plus then they can go into, if the game's boring, and it's just
then
a blowout. They can start telling some stories and stuff like that. Sure, exactly. That would be my guess. But it's an experiment, obviously, because they're not ditching their current format on ESPN. They're keeping that and also doing this as a simulcast on ESPN too. So
unless it's just the two of them and they're going to cover the game, but we're sitting on the couch watching the game way.
Right. Well, it could be that too.
It might be. I don't think that's their point, but
it could be that too. I don't think that would be it. I think to your point, you're probably more correct on that. Is there's probably going to be somebody that's at least just going to do the play-by-play and not even so much get into the conversations with the two of them. Because if you're watching that, like obviously you're tuning in to watch Peyton and Eli, but you're also tuning in to watch the game too. So you're going to want to know what's going on in the field. You're not going to just hear banter back and forth between the two of them.
See, I almost think that that would be a better gimmick. Like you have a set, there's the two of them in their reclining chairs with their snacks, and then the camera, and there's a big screen TV that they're watching, and then the camera's like right in between of them, as if you were sitting there right next to them.
With them, yeah.
And the sound is on with the ESPN1 feed.
Right.
So you're watching the game and you're hearing the feed. So you're getting all that, but you're also getting the brothers talking like you're sitting in
back and forth. That's not a bad idea. And then have one camera just a little bit back so you kind of see the two of them on the side.
Right. Like you have a camera behind everybody, and then there's one on top of the TV that faces out. So that when there's a reaction, popcorn goes flying. Or
right. And then have one on either side of them, one facing Peyton on one side and one facing Eli on the other. So you're sitting there and you're turning and looking at Peyton, and then you're turning and looking at Eli. And then,
that would be interesting. I don't think that's what they're going to do.
Probably not. But unless they watch this podcast and take that idea.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Well, but didn't they do, was it ESPN that did some sort of broadcast for kids or something?
They did. No, it was Nickelodeon did that.
It was Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon, they had
SpongeBob
kids
calling the game, or I don't think it was SpongeBob,
but no, Patrick and
SpongeBob and Patrick calling the game. That would be
calling the game, exactly.
That'd be interesting to see.
It's certainly
Peyton hasn't had a lot of exposure lately.
No, none at all.
Not seeing too many.
It's been very quiet.
Yeah, the insurance commercials are not running with the same frequency that they used.
Well, I did say this a few weeks ago too. Starting this year, I believe it's this year. Starting this year, you still have. I think it's season 3 of Peyton's Places.
Good on
ESPN Plus.
Yeah,
starting this year,
season 1 and 2.
Starting this year is season 1. It's actually I've watched a few of them. They're actually pretty cool. They are. But starting this year is season 1 of Eli's Places. So Eli's doing it too.
Oh, I got a few things to get through first before I get to the Eli brothers. Yeah.
You gotta watch those. Well, the good thing about it is I don't think one has anything to do with the other, so you can watch Eli's Places right from the get-go. While you're catching up, without spoiling anything, without catching up.
Well, unless you happen to see the crossover. There's got to be a crossover.
There's got to have to be a crossover event, right?
So if you're watching Peyton's Places and Week 8 crossover comes.
Well, Week 8 is actually a crossover, 3-way crossover between Peyton's Places, Eli's Places, and Chicago Fire. It's a crossover. So you have to be caught up by Week 8. Or you're screwed. You just lost it. You can't watch it until you catch up. So.
I may wait for the DVD to come out.
There you go. So, but in any event, so that's pretty much football at this particular moment. Other than that, and then the only other thing, I mean, we do have just one thing on hockey to say, and that's the.
You just had to put the picture up.
I just had to put the picture.
I worked hard on this picture.
Yeah, exactly. No, the whatchamacallit is the expansion draft was today. So the Kraken.
Where are they? Oh, the Kraken. That's right.
The Kraken.
Who'd they get?
I'm pulling it up right now. I just got to refresh it here.
That's with a K, isn't it?
It's live right now, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
Yeah, let's look at this here.
How dare they?
Kraken with a K. Seattle Kraken. How dare they
have to draft during our show?
Exactly. So let's see. From the Vancouver Canucks, we're excited to select forward. Of course, it's a tweet. So hold on.
All right, I got it right here. Let me see. Is this? And I don't know if this is from the first. Is this all the guys they drafted, or all the guys that are
Coland?
Who?
Coland. They drafted him from the Canucks. From the Canucks, Coland. There you go. And then who else? They took Alexander True. Alexander True from the San Jose Sharks. They took Curtis McDermott from.
Okay. All right. So, this is the players that
from the Kings
that everybody made available.
They made him available. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Adam Larson from the Edmonton Oilers. Mark Giordano from the Flames. Who else? Hayden Fleury.
Did they take Jonas
from the Ducks?
Donskoy from Colorado?
Haven't gotten there yet. They took Mason Appleton from where's he from? The Maple Leafs.
From the Jets.
Jets. Jets. Jets.
Oh, so they took Giordano.
They took Giordano. Yep.
They take Hayden Fleury.
They took Hayden Fleury.
Okay. And they took Appleton.
Yep.
Maybe this is the list. Vince Dunn.
Vince Dunn from the Blues.
Kylie
Yarncroc.
All right, cool.
Yeah, from the
Carson Soucy.
Carson.
So they did take Jonas Donskoy.
They did take Jonas Donskoy. Yep.
Excellent. So this is the list of play. Boy, who are the names on this? Giordano, that seems. Hayden Fleury sounds like somebody I know, but.
Well, you're thinking of like Pavel Fleury or whatever. So,
right, just because it's Fleury.
Fleury, yeah. Fleury's a hockey name. So,
yeah.
He's a defenseman.
Let's see. Tyler Pitlick. That's an unfortunate name.
Man, I would say
Vitek Vanacek.
Carlin Saucy and Tyler Pitlick. Put them on the same line. Jamie Oleksiak. Got him from the Stars.
Colin Blackwell, Jordan. I don't know who any of these people are.
John Quenneville from the Blackhawks. Nope. And Tyler Pitlick.
Another Fleury. Cale Fleury from the Canadiens.
There you go. Yep. There you go.
So a couple of Fleuries.
You got a couple Fleuries. So, and there wasn't any call for snow either. But see when I went there? That was bad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So let's see. These are all, let's see. Looking down to 24, 24, 23, 27, 22, 24, 29, 25, 23, 27, 23. Jordan Eberle, the old man at 31. Colin Blackwell's 28. 23. Brandon Tanev is 29. Mm-hmm. Tyler Pitlick is 29. 25. Jonas Donskoy is 29. So there's one guy 30 or older on this team. Except for Giordano, who's 37.
Right.
It's probably going to be cut.
Probably. So, but yeah. So there you go. The Kraken.
This is going to be a very young team.
Very young team. Well, that's what they want, right? That's what
they should have a lot of energy and hopefully some speed.
Exactly.
Look what Vegas did.
Exactly. Yeah.
Might get the right
first year
coach
in
there.
First year in. Go to the the coach is now the coach of the Rangers too. So there you go.
There you go.
All right.
So they get the right coach and get some young players. Wear those old guys down.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of forechecking.
A lot of it. A lot of it. So yeah. So
that's,
Seattle.
That's my go-to hockey saying.
A lot of forechecking.
Like if I walk in the room and people are watching the game who know hockey and blah blah blah, they watch hockey and
right.
And they're like, what do you think? And I go, it's a lot of forechecking. I got a 50% chance to be right.
Exactly.
Even if they go, no, there isn't. I go, well, a lot. It could be. We have different definitions.
I'm being sarcastic. Sarcastic. There's none.
By a lot.
There was some. Well, you know what I mean.
I mean, not.
Right.
I was going to add a not to the end of that. So
not a lot of forechecking.
A lot of forechecking. Not. But you cut me off before I got to it. So.
Exactly. I see where you went there. That's a good one. So
yeah.
But
fake it till you make it. That's my motto.
That's all you have to do. It goes for a lot of things, actually. You can work that. You can work that out in a lot of ways.
Listen, I've been married for 26 years, so there must be something.
There's got to be
that.
There's got to be something to that. That's absolutely true. So. Anyway, but yeah. So I mean, that's pretty much all I got for tonight.
All right, let's get out of here. I'm hungry.
I'm a little hungry too, and it's an early night tonight. 9:30, we're done with this. Wow,
I
that's
know.
Great.
I'm actually happy because I got a lot of studying to do.
There you go. Well, let's do it then. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up for today. We want to thank everyone for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithit. I can't talk tonight. I'm going to start that one more time.
I don't have listen. Fax me the script. I'll do it one night.
There you go. Do it there.
Sometimes I mouth the words when you're saying
when I'm doing it. Right. Exactly.
Because I know you're looking at the paper.
I just look at it. Well, it's probably better if I don't look at it. You know what I mean? So I get tied up on the words ahead and then screwed it up. But anyway, don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of the shows are on our YouTube channel as well, on the Logger Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at 7:30. For those of you that just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. There'll be a couple more next week, too, so you want to get ready for those. We'll announce them next week after they're up and running. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Watch a lot of sports. Get ready for the trade deadline next week. We'll have a show before that. Get ready for training camps to start up again. Not start up again, just start up, period. And we'll get back into the football season. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you soon, guys. Take care. Cheers.
Yeah, next week it's all baseball, folks.
All baseball, all the time.
Sneak some football in.
A little bit of football in.
Football never really ends. That's the greatest thing they've done is made themselves a year-round sport.
Year-round, and it's only played 5 months of the year, but it's a year-round sport.
Right. Yeah, kudos to them. So
kudos, definitely. All right.
Till next week, I am not a crook.
Ciao, folks.